Hello, welcome to podcast number 57.
57.
We're going to be catching up with recent film news and TV shows we've watched before going over Brad Pitt's career and discussing some of his films in the second part. And of course, in the third part of the podcast, we will be answering your questions. Iain, Andy, good to have you here.
Yes.
As always.
Wow.
Iain,
been a minute.
how are you doing today?
It's to talk to you specifically today. I'm a little bit hungover. I had a few beers last night, and I was.
I share your pain.
Early,
I share your pain.
You two pair of bitches.
But like,
We didn't even decide both together to get wasted the night before a podcast. It just happened.
We don't drink as much as
We
you.
don't,
We
we
actually
don't.
do, work
Alright,
and
alright.
stuff and fucking whole.
Excuse me, some people use the word hero. I'm just saying.
Just because you work at home and drink from like 10:30 in the morning, the rest of us can't do it.
Just
like
can't
that.
do
Bitch,
it
you
no
work
more.
from home, you need to start drinking at about 11. So.
Well, it's been a while. Obviously, we didn't do a podcast last month because we were all busy and fucking.
Well,
rushing
there
around
was
and trying
a
to
bit
get
of a
shit
heat
done.
wave and a bit of technical troubles.
Technical
Gary was
troubles
setting
and
up this
stuff like that.
amazing new PC that has absolutely been spot on tonight. And there's been no.
Well, the PC,
Delays.
mate, the PC's work
PC's
fine.
fine.
The PC's fine. It's the person who's
residual
working
settings.
it.
It was the user error today.
That's what
Yeah.
always makes me laugh when people go, AI's going to take over. I'm like, not if humans are fucking doing the programming, that's for sure.
Well, no, the AI will reprogram itself.
I think so.
I'm going to bring it up quickly as well, right at the start. My cat passed away
man.
before the last podcast. I mean, she was like 10
Here's the
years
flash,
old. Here's
mate.
the
She was a
flash.
sweetie.
She had been hit by a car at one point. They'd had some prolonged issues and stuff. And I woke up one morning and we had to rush her to the vet at 4 o'clock. And then sadly, I'm not going to lie, I blubbered like a big girl in that vet when we decided to have
You're
her
allowed
put
to.
down.
It's a safe space to do so, man.
Yeah, and then we came back, and then Linda was. It was like a week or two, and I knew that Linda would want to get a new pet because obviously with me going out and Dylan doing his thing as a teenage boy, she'd want some company.
I often find that strange because some people don't immediately want a replacement pet.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
It was because I thought it. I was just like, do we
Dude,
want?
sorry, it's like my dad used to do that. We'd have a dog, the dog would die, and the first words out of my dad's mouth were like, "We're not getting another dog again. It's too painful when they go." And then 12 minutes later,
Yeah.
he'd be like, "I got this dog.
Here's
I'd be
Max."
like, cool, Dad."
That's it. You want to fill
Yeah.
that gap, but then
Yeah.
you don't want to fill the gap as a replacement. You want to fill it. And the way I said it to Linda and Dylan was, we need to get another pet that we want to love just as much as we loved Flash. So we got a new puppy, a cockapoo puppy. He's lovely. He's a fucking pain in the ass. That's why I was up at 5 o'clock this morning because he was in his little cage like, Dad, Dad, Dad. Well, he wasn't saying it. He was barking, obviously, but if you
That
listen.
would be amazing.
He's like,
gotta
Dad,
talk
Dad,
it
Dad, I
down.
need a piss, I need a piss, wake up. And I'm like, oh, fucking, let's go, fucking, and it's been real fucking wonderful.
It's the voices with Ryan Reynolds all over again.
I mean, I opted to
Detective
keep
Pikachu.
my opening short from now on. I'm going to do, did you ever used to watch movies, games and videos
Yeah,
on
of course,
Saturdays,
man, every
right?
Saturday.
That's going to be my
Yeah,
new kind of
classic.
thing when we do a catch-up, like any movies, games or videos that I've watched. That would just be my quick catch-up.
Dude, like 57 podcasts, you just realised that's what we...
That's what he was asking us to do this whole
Fucking-
time.
Yeah, but I wanted to keep it short because, I do waffle on a lot, right? I bought the Sequest DSV complete series on
Nice.
DVD
Nice.
and Space Above and Beyond complete
That's so
series
cool.
on
Where'd you buy it
DVD as
from?
well. CEX.
Okay, listen.
CX is my fucking
dude,
jam at the moment.
I know, they know you there because I guarantee you, someone bought in at some point the complete DSV on video,
Yeah,
on fucking DVD.
DVD.
The guy at the counter was like, "I'm not buying that. Who's ever going to buy that?" And the manager was like, "No, I know a guy."
We know a
Yeah.
guy, mate. Seriously, I'm gonna get fucking Friday the 13th
Put that in the
Switch
window.
on there. I'm gonna get fucking Sonic Origins on there. I'm waiting for the AEW to drop in price so I can get that because I'm not rushing out for that.
Yeah, that looks great.
I'm mad fucking excited. Fucking nipples could cut glass if you ever got close to me for the fucking Metal Gear Solid Master Collection that's coming out in October.
Nice.
I know we've got like a long time to October and a load of games to come, but portable fucking Metal Gear on the Switch, and it comes with Snake's Revenge.
Nice.
The game they said was never connected to the series. It's in the fucking series.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
I've been bashing out a lot of Witcher 3 recently. Fucking loving
God,
that. I think
Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I think you said like I'm over the halfway point now. So
Yeah,
the
you
story
are
is
story-wise. For the
Honest-
base game, anyway.
honestly, I could honestly say, hand on heart, and you know how much I love that other game, I could honestly say Witcher 3 is better than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Fair, fucking hell.
Yeah, I'm completely with you.
Yeah,
on
the
that.
world is so much more alive. I mean, it is a little bit silly that, like we were at the Battle of Kaer Morhen, right? And there was this huge battle going on. There's witches everywhere. There's sorcerers everywhere. They all look beautiful.
Yeah.
Not one of them's dirty.
No,
I've
well, it's
been
because
cutting
got
up
magic.
bandits and
Strong
shit.
magic.
The wizard did it.
They just look fucking
It's
wonderful.
all an illusion.
TV show wise, actually, before I finish, I didn't actually catch it because I was busy doing other stuff. But Linda watched all the way through season 1 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, some of the best fucking Star Trek ever.
Well,
And I've watched a lot of Star Trek, and I've been waiting for some good shit to come along. This just it hit every note that I wanted from a Star Trek TV series.
what notes were those? Just curious.
Spock eating bacon, from what I saw on.
Okay,
or
so
something, like-
first off, it wasn't.
Think of Spock eating bacon. I don't know. What
It wasn't predictable, you know. Like TV shows hit certain notes, you know how certain things would go. But this show actually had a few twists. So I was like, oh wow, I did not see that coming. The characters are really deep and dynamic. I actually am interested in all of their backgrounds, and partly I'm sad to know that this crew's going to change for the
The Kirk crew. In,
Right.
you know, and
7,
so
8
you're
years.
like, you're really interested about where these people go. You know, the fucking, I mean, I didn't see it, but the fucking engineer died in like 4
Spoilers.
episodes.
Spoilers, by the way,
Well,
everyone.
fuck it, it's on season 2 now. Anyway, if you ain't watching season 1, you fuck. But at the same time, it just looks so nice. You know how you watched? I don't know if you watch it, but
What's
when
it on, by the way?
my memory stick at the moment.
Oh, okay. But is it like
Paramount,
is
I
it
think
Prime?
it
Oh,
is.
okay.
Prime.
Yeah.
But like when we watched Enterprise with Archer, you were like, oh, this looks too clean for how he would go into Kirk and Picard and all that kind of stuff. This one, it's like they went, throw all the money at it. Just throw all
It
the
does look
fucking
really good.
money at it. We want the space sequences to look fucking amazing. We want the battles to look fucking amazing. We want you to, when you look into the background of the corridors of the Enterprise are so clean. I just want to see a guy in the background just kind of sweeping, or some robot.
Never
cleaning.
see a fucking.
That's
cat
it.
in a series,
I
do you
never see
ever?
it. The place is so clean. I'm like, who's cleaning this ship? Honestly,
The computer does it. It just, you know.
The
Just
guy
rumbles
playing-
It's like a
everywhere.
particle
like
cleaner.
fucking-
yeah, the guy
Scrubber.
playing Pike is just absolutely
And
brilliant.
Samount, yeah.
You know, I think he's great. But yeah, that's me. What are you guys up to?
Well, just before you jump in there, Andy, I want to continue on Strange New Worlds.
Right,
Obviously,
yeah.
I'm watching season 2 is still airing right now. I think I'm 2 episodes behind. But episode 1 of season 2 of Strange New Worlds was a good episode to start the season, but it was actually episode 2 of season 2 that I think is one of, if not top 5 greatest Star Trek episodes of all time.
Right on.
Like, that is the trajectory of this show.
Yeah.
It is just skyrocketing
You're Nazi
every
saluting,
time.
stop it.
And sorry, I'm super excited.
Yeah, go like this. Go like this. Like
Right,
so.
right, like, super excited. Like, up to here. I literally, the episode had me cheering, it had me crying, and it's basically a courtroom drama episode, you know, and like a lot of people criticize Star Trek for just being super bland or just being super like sci-fi splashy gun shit battles and all that.
That's what we
Whereas
love.
this episode went courtroom drama about people, about ideas, and breaking those ideas down, seeing them from different perspectives, dealing with prejudices and all that stuff that you can relate to the real world stuff. And I was like, oh my god, this is what Trek, this is what Gene Roddenberry wanted.
Yeah.
You know, was just like, okay, we're in the future, but we've got problems. How do we fix them? And obviously with the courtroom drama and the way it's acted, the way it means to the characters, holdover from season 1, I was like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
Now, granted, some of the other episodes they've done the timey-wimey travel stuff.
Yeah, yeah, the body
they've done the
swap
gimmicky
stuff.
one. That's the one I haven't seen yet. There's a new one with Spock where he's body swapped human. I'm just like,
Oh yeah, but
Okay,
then
it sounds-
in season 1 they'd already had the one where he swapped with his wife.
that's right,
Spock
yeah.
and Mark, and
So-
I thought that was
But
cool.
what-
They played that
yeah,
out.
but I like that Strange New Worlds. It goes each episode week by week. Like, this one's a horror story. This one's a murder mystery.
Yeah.
This one's a courtroom drama. This one's a comedy adventure. This one's a space anomaly.
Yeah.
You know, so each episode standalone.
I'm just getting flashbacks to that one of like Q in the
Yeah.
Next Generation, that court, because he does one, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a courtroom drama.
That's right, yeah.
That's cool, man.
Encounter, was it Encounter?
Those were always the
Encounter
best
at Farpoint,
episodes
yeah.
of like that series, though. You know, like remember the one where like Picard was like captured by the Kardashians and
Yes.
stuff, and like he had the eggs, and he was just fucking tortured for ages.
Yeah.
But that you were like,
It gives
this
the
is,
actor
this is
something to
fucking
do.
great. Like, you know,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just want to.
Kardashians. I just immediately thought Kim Kardashian.
Of course you did, mate. That would be the horror episode.
So yeah. Strange
Set
New Worlds
phases
is
to
really
kill,
good.
please.
But Andy, I hear you've been on a couple of adventures. since we
Yeah,
last spoke.
a little bit. Yeah,
Where
I
have you
mean,
been?
I've had we've had a couple of bits. Obviously, we did download, which was amazing. We went up there with our friends who run the Rockfit company. So the girls were on stage doing their thing and basically
Yeah.
got to hang out at fucking Download for free for like 4 days and stuff. Sit in the fucking guest area and the press area. I got to meet one of the members of GWA. That was funny.
Yes.
Wow.
Sent a picture of it. What was it? He's walking around the full. If you don't know who they are, Google them, and
Yeah.
you'll get why this is funny. So I went up to him. I was like, "Dude, can I get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "Oh, this is great." I said, "So embarrassing. I nearly wore the same outfit today," and took a picture with him. And then I actually got to meet David Draymond from Disturbed,
Nice. I saw
who
that picture
was
actually.
the nicest fucking dude.
Really?
Oh,
That's
mate,
so cool.
it was such a wonderful, like, you know, I haven't had a lot of celebrity encounters in my life, but getting to meet
Except
someone
us.
who I'm a huge, obviously, yeah, but this is like someone I'm a fan of. So getting to meet someone who I'm obviously like a huge fan of, like, you know, I was like, "Dude, do you mind if I get a picture?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And like, I do the thing where, like, when I met the other guy, like, I just sort of stood there, someone took a picture, and I was like, "Cool," you know, I don't
Yeah.
fucking touch him and stuff, but. I was like, "Dude, can I grab a picture?" He's like, "Absolutely." Fucking grabbed me, put his arm around, threw up his fucking horns and stuff, and I was like,
Fucking
"He's
right.
like best picture ever," and I'm like, "Ha!" Like, Donna took like 3 pictures,
tower
and they're
over him,
technically,
though.
oh, he looks tiny
He
in the
does
picture.
compared to you.
Yeah, it's like all the pictures. I'm like, all of mine are awful because I'm like, "Ha ha." Because he was so
That's
nice.
so cool.
Yeah, really nice interaction with him, so that was cool. And like, you know, we got to see some great bands and stuff, obviously, as well. I mean, there was some. The thing I love about festivals, I always joke around that in a way, if you really want to see a band, don't see them at a festival, because it's not like it's never the best showing. Like, I gotta admit, on the Thursday we watched Metallica and they sounded like shit,
Damn.
and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna. Maybe it's Metallica, or maybe your stage director needs firing, but
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah.
sound good. But I mean, just random stuff, like we saw like, okay, so Pendulum, who are not a band that I'm necessarily into.
Same,
and I remember
yeah.
when that first single came out, I was like, I hate this fucking single, it was doing my head in. But now they came back with this much more of a like guitar and drum set, and we were sat there because in like the guest area, you've got we're right next to the main stage, and all the screens are up, so we're like, there's a private bar there, and the stage is there. We're staying here. Like, just watch that. And it was actually a really, really good set. They were called Eskimo Callboy. Now they're called Electric Callboy.
Fucking hate that band.
They were fucking awesome, dude.
I
The
fucking
energy
hate
there,
them.
I was like, this is great. Like, it was such
honestly,
a great show. Ice Nine Kills as well. Like, they brought a Deadite on stage and killed a motherfucker with a chainsaw.
I like how you look at me like I know what bands are.
Modern bands.
Well, put it this way. Yeah, there was a lot of good discovery. Disturbed played an amazing set that we. Oh fuck it! He talked about a big thing about like depression and sort of like, you know, he talked about Chris Cornell and like Chester dying and everything like that.
Yeah.
So all of us in the crowd were like like this, and then he played Sound of Silence, and everyone was like,
God.
I'm like, yep, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here with Donna and cry my fucking eyes out like a baby.
Oh,
But,
his cover of Sound of Silence is something
Yeah,
else.
So that was an absolutely banging weekend.
That's wicked.
That I don't recommend spending 4 days spending money at the private bar at Download when you. Oh my god, I can't believe how much money.
How much for a pint?
£6.80.
It was more expensive in
I-
London, wasn't it?
It was. So getting on to the next thing, then we went to a bunch of us went to see Money in the Bank
What's
in
that?
London, which is the
The
WWE event.
live event that happened.
So
in
I'm
London.
gonna apologise in advance that I'm about to talk about wrestling. Kind of.
I'm not going to apologise. You can switch the
No, that's
fuck off.
perfect. It's my moment
You know
to
what?
shut
You're gonna
us
talk
down.
about- So Triple H was there. And, no, he wasn't for once. It was
Wait,
weird.
no, he did the press conference after.
He
didn't
did do the press
He did
conference
the-
afterwards. So yeah, I apologise. I'm going to talk about wrestling. By the way, so I don't tend to hang around our comments section.
Here we go. Well, the floor is yours.
I
The floor is yours.
just want to point something out that if you are the fucking insipid knobhead who writes a comment about it, going, "Yeah, you guys talk about wrestling like it's real," it's like,
I'm fucking
I'm
joking.
just gonna point something out to you.
Bitch.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Same as when we talk about John Wick, and we're like, wasn't it awesome the way he fucking avenged his puppy? The dog didn't
Over 4
really
movies?
die.
No,
You know, it's like you're watching a channel for guys to review things, and you're getting upset when they get sort of passionate and involved in it. That would be like me going like, oh, I watched this film and it was great. This guy called John Wick, he went around, shot everyone, and you're like, you know, he didn't really kill anyone, right? They were acting, and I'm like,
You know, Ben Affleck's not really Batman, right? Fucking shut up.
I guess we should just stop.
Yeah, just stop going to the cinema. Yeah.
Fucking jerk off. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about that. Was your warning. Sorry.
That's your warning right there.
Excuse me.
Fucking insane. So like 5 of us went up to watch Money in the Bank at the O2 in London, which was because obviously we went to see the Clash at the Castle in Cardiff. That's like a 60,000 seater stadium. O2 is only like 20,000 seat arena.
Tiny.
So yeah, in comparison, it's so weird though because we get in and it's packed, and I'm like, how the fuck were there 3 times as many as there's people in Cardiff? It still looks like it's still a fuck ton of people, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went up. It was really nice. Great event. I mean, without going too much into it, if you're into it, you already know. It was so funny. We're walking around. We had like priority passes to get into certain places, and we got to go into like a merch store and stuff. And a friend of mine was looking for a particular shirt, couldn't find it. And I'm the asshole that's like, man, what the fuck is like with all the John Cena merch? Like, why would they bring all this John Cena merch? For like no reason. It makes no sense.
Well, maybe
I know,
it was there.
right? Yeah, it was all camouflage. It was all
see
camouflage. And then obviously, spoiler alert, you know, John Cena fucking turned up.
What?
So my first reaction was, oh, that's why they got all that merch. But I cannot describe the pop, the feeling in that building when he came out and everyone just lost their fucking mind.
Yeah.
I did actually hear it. I read an
you
article.
heard the
actually.
O2 from here.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
No, I heard that. There was an article just saying that UK wrestling fans are a different breed to American wrestling fans. Literally, that a smaller amount makes twice as much noise.
Yeah.
The chants that are going off. But he did come out and did. He makes a reference to saying about wanting to bring WrestleMania to London.
Yes, I heard that too.
And
that was what the
again,
article was going to.
I got so emotional
because it's never happened. Right?
I know, exactly. So it was an incredible day. It was a great night. Now, but I have got to take up a lot of time, but I've got to tell you the story because it's fucking so stupid. So, friend of ours books the tickets. He books the hotel in inverted commas.
Yeah, hotels.
We'll get there. So basically, we're staying in this pub that is 3 miles from the O2. I'm like, that's fucking gleaming. You know, it's like there's a bus there. You know, you get to London, you do the underground thing and stuff, and get to where you're going. So we're there by like 11 a.m. in the morning. Oh, before that was like 10 o'clock in the morning. So we go in this pub. Looks really cool, and it's got like this big Jamaican sort of kitchen attached to it. So it's like, you know, like there must have been. I went in there, and the kitchens were being sort of. There was like 10 Jamaican cooks in there, and they're getting ready to like. They got like whole pigs and stuff, and I'm like, I may not go to this event. I may stay here. Like, you know, I want some jerk chicken and stuff. You know. So anyway, he says, right, we're talking to this guy. It's this English guy at the bar, and then this other guy. And I'm only saying this to keep it factual, so you can kind of put it in your heads. This sort of like Middle Eastern guy is like, okay, so we're going to take you to the rooms, and he said, and there's 4 of us out of the 5 are staying in this place, and he's like, you know, oh. They're all 4 going up to this room. And he's like, no, there's 2 in one room, 2 in the other. And we go, oh, well, that's all right. Yeah, whatever. 2 in one room, 2 in the other. So we go upstairs, and our I'm not going to name him. Our friend who's got tickets has not booked a hotel. He has booked a hostel. And me and one of my friends are led into a room which has got 4 fucking bunk beds in. 5 of which are already occupied by people sleeping off the night before or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? The other room, the bunk beds were 3 high. I'm not exaggerating.
I didn't know they went that high.
Neither did I. So I'm just like, oh, we're going to get murdered. Like, you know? So we're like, okay, whatever. We're just trying to get changed before we can sort of like go and like make sure our stuff's secure and whatever. And I'm kind of sat on my bunk. Like, I put a sheet up on both sides as some kind of shit privacy screen. I'm just like, what the fuck?
I'm in prison, man.
And I'm sat there. Now there's a guy on the bunk next to me to my left, right? Mm-hmm. Who's I got sort of like talking to, friendly enough, whatever. Guy's from Jamaica, right? So like that'd be funny. He's like, you know, Jamaican dude is right next to me. This other guy just walks into the room, who I kind of figure out later sort of works there. Again, another Middle Eastern guy, and just goes off at him. Starts yelling the place down. I'm sat like this on my phone.
Like, not my problem.
And he's like, you know, he starts shouting about some other guy. There's obviously some kind of conflict. The Jamaican guy is there, kind of, okay, whatever. And then the Middle Eastern guy calls the other guy, and no.
The N-word.
says a word I've legit never heard anyone say to someone else's face, and I'm just like, holy shit, like, you know, because I'm like, there are 10 guys in the kitchen that will fuck you up. And that was where I was like, you know, I was like, well, I'm going downstairs. Met the boys downstairs. I'm like, should we have a couple of drinks here? I'm like, no, let's fucking go. I was like, I hear there's a Weatherspoons around the corner, and that's where we fucking. It was madness. But again, our mate who booked it, he was like, I had no idea.
I love this story because obviously, you know, when the wrestling got announced, it was just like, oh yeah, you want to go to London and stuff like that. And I considered it, but like you'd already made all your plans and stuff.
Oh, dude, it was well worth it. Don't get me wrong.
I was just like, I don't want to go down on my own, find a place to stay, blah blah. So I stayed at home. And I just watched it in my front room.
Pay-per-view.
That's it. Like I looked at the time, I'm like, wow, this thing doesn't start until 8:00. He's gonna be wrecked as fuck. If he's
we were drinking from 11. Dude, I took an edible before I went in there.
Well, that's it.
By the time we got to our seats, which was just on like the first tier and stuff, and like my mate Chris is like, we're high as shit. I'm like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like, you know, sitting down looking, I was like, that is steep.
I was sat there in my front room. I was in my pajamas with my beer in my hand, my snack, watching TV, thinking, man, you can't get better than this. 20,000 people in the fucking O2 screaming at John Cena, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna pause it, go upstairs, take a whiz, come back. No,
it's so good.
I like the idea, and don't get me wrong. I've said this to loads of people. Like going to live events would have been good if I'd been doing them a lot more when I was younger. I would have got the bite, but I never had the chance. So now I'm older. I'm like, nah. Fuck am I getting up from my seat?
I'll go to every single one of them.
Buying, how much was the pint? $7.50 a pint?
In the O2 in one of the bars, yeah, it was like £7.50 a pint.
My bars at San Miguel were £2 each.
This is why we spent the whole day in Weatherspoons, because you know when you go in there like £3.80 please, and you're like, yeah, that's more fucking like it.
It's like
I'll take two.
I spoke to a guy that I worked with, and he was just like, oh yeah, I went there and it was absolutely amazing. But he had to take a day off sick on the Friday to travel down because he was meeting D'Lo Brown as well, and then he was going to the event on the Saturday, and I was like, that's a lot of fucking effort.
We went past,
can lose your job
in the O2. We went past where they were doing the Undertaker Dead Man film. I was like, fuck, that's twice in a row.
It's like right there, yeah.
But it was amazing. But I'll tell you what, real quick one for the movies that I watched, because I watched some bangers actually this month, because I watched Sisu.
Awesome.
Yes,
Ian and I
fucking
watched
amazing.
What a fucking
Sisu is so fucking
I'm not going
good.
to say any more about it. Just go fucking
Just
watch it.
Sisu.
Oh my god.
We did talk about the trailer in the last podcast. Yeah, the film is out, and it is worth the watch.
If you don't like Nazis, watch Sisu.
Yeah, right. And if you do, what the fuck? In the sort of same vein, I watched Old Man with Stephen Lang.
Oh right, yeah.
Not full title or rhyme, just you know, but yeah.
Not
I
the
don't know if
blind
you've seen
one.
that one.
I haven't seen
No, not that one. No, it's a very.
He's a turkey baster on that girl.
No, not quite. And himself by the end.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. It's worth a watch, but again, I don't want to spoil anything to do with it. It's a bit of a trippy one. I watched the Arnold Netflix documentary.
Yeah, I need to see that.
Great
still.
3-part doc, really good. They do address stuff that you didn't think they would.
Right. Have you seen the Michael J. Fox one? Because I watched
No,
Still.
no, that's
That
next.
was
That's in
really
my queue to
good.
watch.
Still was really
They've
good.
just announced the Sylvester Stallone one now. As
Yeah,
well,
I
because
noticed
of
that
course
as well.
He's gonna have one.
Little Bone Lodge. Have you seen that yet?
No.
That's an interesting sort of horror movie. Again, it's not a gorehound one. It's more of a. There's a bit of injury detail and stuff like that.
Okay.
Again, not one I'm going to say about. Jolie Richardson's in it, who was the like mum out of Colour Out of Space, and she's like the Patriot and Event Horizon and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a few sort of like rough performances in it, but you won't get where this film's going. I don't think personally.
What was that one called again? Sorry.
Little Bone Lodge.
Little
Unless
Bone
you
Lodge.
divide
Okay.
Wiki it.
Worth a good one. Yeah, no, don't seriously.
Fucking Wiki it.
I watched The Machine because I'm a huge fan of Bert Kreischer. His Machine story about him getting involved with the Russian mafia. So me and Jessica, I did watch it first to proof watch it, and then me and the kid watched it. I'm biased, but it was totally fucking awesome. I absolutely adored it.
Nice.
It was brilliant. Same with Tom Segura released a new stand-up special on Netflix called Sledgehammer. If you're a fan, go watch it. It was fucking amazing. Another documentary I watched, that Muscles and Mayhem, the American Gladiators story.
Okay. No, not watched
It's just
that
a
one
great Talking Heads documentary about what absolute nonsense that fucking show was. That was really good.
So stupid.
And then the one that I will really shout out is I watched the Full Monty series that they put on Disney
I
Plus.
thought it was a sequel
Why?
movie. It's actually a series,
It is.
okay.
Mate, it's fucking excellent.
Is it?
It's excellent.
Like I heard the
I
advert
watched-
on the
No,
radio
I
where like
watched
the
all of it.
long-awaited return. I'm like, who?
Yeah,
Who
to be
said it?
fair,
And went,
yeah, to
we
be fair.
want
Completely
No,
full
but the
forgot
good
it
thing about
existed.
it is it's a series, and
Yeah.
it's like it's not like we're gonna have to take our clothes off. It's got nothing to do
Yeah,
with it.
no,
it's just about these
them
guys where they
growing
are
up,
in their
yeah.
life now.
Compared
What
to
they're doing, still
30
living in
years
Sheffield.
ago.
They bring in all
Yeah.
these new characters, like people have got kids and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a Cobra Kai vibe in that.
Yeah,
sense
I suppose,
to it.
yeah.
Same kind of premise what they've done, and it's fucking wonderful, and it's heartbreaking, and it may be on my top 10 of the year. It may be the best
Okay,
thing I've
wow.
watched all
Yeah.
year so far.
Wow.
Honestly,
Alright.
I'll recommend it. It's really good, and it's kind of like there's a nod to the original premise and everything, obviously, but it's a totally different animal than what
Yeah.
you'd think. It's almost like you could actually just you could do it as an original story.
Yeah,
And you would
what-
just it's just set around 6 blokes in Sheffield.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just they happen to be
Yeah,
like,
I
well, we
kinda
can
see
take
that.
these characters and involve them. So
Nice.
when that's done well, like we saw with Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
it's done really well and it's really good. No, saying. So
What's
yeah,
the
recommend it.
fucking Begbie? What's his name? Playing-
Robert Carlyle.
That's right, Robert Carlyle.
Begbie. I love how you refer to
He's
Begbie.
like,
I remember his name.
You're the guy in glasses, everyone.
Yeah, fucking Begbie. I'm trying to remember his name from 28 weeks later. Like, it's just
Asshole
Dad.
yeah,
Asshole
yeah.
dad,
Asshole dad, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple of films to catch up on as well. A couple of trips to the cinema the last couple of months. Went to go and see Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
And?
Yeah, I was one of the few that saw the trailer and went, "Ooh, that actually looks all right."
dialysis of destiny.
And I went and saw the movie, and I came out and I went, "Oh, that was kind of all right, actually." But I was kind of surprised. I went in at peak time, like opening week,
Yeah.
and there was like 7 other people in there. It's just like,
Oh, it's doing well then.
Oh
Yeah.
no, it's not. Like
It's not doing well.
it's continuing the trend, because the other film that I went to watch as well was The Flash, and the same thing. Like this was opening
Same 7 people.
opening weekend, and there was like 8 people in there. It's just like, where is everyone? Like this is the
People
this
busy,
is
man.
this is Screen 9.
That
this
has
is the big one.
lost like a lot of money, right?
A
Like-
lot of
like,
money.
It didn't. It's like 200 million in the hole or something.
Yeah, but
Or
people-
more, because that's not even including like advertising
Yeah,
costs.
yeah.
So it's done really badly.
I'm
But
buying on DVD. I'm buying them both on DVD.
I will say I'll go with the Flash. I thought that Michael Keaton was worth the price of admission. Literally to see him in the Batman suit and to say his lines from the original film was great.
Yeah, you could just watch the trailer then.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, when it's in context of the movie, even though you've seen the trailer and you know that bit's coming, like it earns that moment. He was really good. Now I know Ezra Miller is an absolute
Jerk.
been smeared across the media for all these kinds of reasons. I've not really looked into it. By all accounts, he's an absolute jerk. But he was really good as the Flash. Small spoilers, he plays himself. Like there's multiple Flashes in the film.
Yeah, it's in the trailer.
And
Yeah,
he's really good at the diversity of the character, backed up by a really good supporting cast. The CGI was really good in places, and also, as expected with most superhero movies, very wonky in places. But I really
Just
enjoyed.
the style of the times.
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. The first 15 minutes, in a superhero movie, you usually set them up with a big crisis that they got to overcome to then get into the story. I thought the opening, crisis that he had to deal with was really quite fun and gimmicky, saving loads of babies, falling out of a skyscraper that's collapsing. I thought, yeah, that was really cool. The scenes with Zod fighting Supergirl in the desert. Really loved those action set pieces. There was a really great moment where Supergirl was fucking saving a helicopter from crashing, all the people inside it. She lowers it down, she turns around to help somebody else, and Zod just smashes right through the helicopter in an
Cheap shots,
explosion and knocks her out. It's like, I felt those punches. The sound design was great.
Yeah.
All of the effects of the time travel visually was really well done. The story was like the film wanted to have a heart, like the reason why he's doing it, but it didn't stay on that too much. And then when it got back to it, it was kind of a little bit like that needed to be the way to the heart of the
obviously
film.
in the trailer it shows it seemed to me like that was like him and his mum and saving her and stuff.
Yes,
but,
that's
yeah,
it,
but
yeah.
I don't feel like that within this universe they haven't built that
They
enough.
haven't, and
No,
they
they
haven't.
haven't, yeah.
So the film
You can
tries
watch
to.
the CW show,
Yeah,
and from
yeah.
fucking dot, you're like, oh my god. Because when you finish that first season of The Flash, and he goes back, and sees his mom, I was streaming because they built the whole thing around it. But in
That's
this one,
cool.
it's like certain things in that DC universe, I feel like it's like, okay, you can take certain things for granted. Where I'm like, I never need to see Popcorn and Pearls with Batman's family ever again.
Yes, yeah.
We're cool with that.
We don't need
But
to see
when
Peter
it's
Parker getting bit by a spider.
exactly, but when it's a but with a character that isn't quite as established
As the
Flash,
in the open fan base,
Yeah.
you know, or it's sort of like the non-fan base. So like we all know the story if you read the fucking comics, but you need to fucking put it on screen. You know, I feel that's probably where they let it down. I'm saying this, I haven't seen the fucking movie.
Yeah,
yet,
so I think that the story was undercooked, but like the
DC
cameos,
movie
there's moments while I was watching it that I literally cheered on screen. I was like, "That's my Superman!" You know, there were some great moments. There's some nice cameos and Easter eggs.
There's some PS2 graphics from what I heard.
7 people in the cinema turned around to him and went, "Shut the fuck up!"
That's my Superman. You shut up, bitch. But yeah, like I
One of them was Nick Cage.
like it wasn't it wasn't Eternals levels of bad. You know, it's like
is that the
that's
the
the worst.
drama?
No, don't get me wrong. The Flash is not a great movie, but I had fun with it, and it didn't. It was a bit long, bit too long, but it was fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of also being a bit too long, Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny was a bit too long. Again, like the first, like I said, the Flash bit had a 15-minute thing with the building.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones' intro bit, like you know, in every indie movie, it's either the boulder or getting, setting him up at the beginning of each one. This one here was half an hour long before it sets him back in present day. And it was literally because it was all the de-aged stuff was all bookended right at the start of the film.
Oh, that's all right.
Now,
at least they didn't keep going.
the thing
What's
is,
the runtime of the movie?
it's like 2.5 hours.
2.5
Like
hours.
it's the longest indie movie, and it's got
What
so.
is with all these 2.5 hour fucking movies?
That's because
man?
I think
Milk
the
them
intro
out, man.
was too long. But however,
I
I
just booked Oppenheimer. So
one of my favorite parts of the movie was just that first 30 minutes because of the
okay.
de-aged Harrison Ford. They didn't fix his voice, so he still sounds like an 80-year-old man in a
I know,
40-year-old
so
body.
That's Harrison Ford, though.
Well, that's true. That is true. You know where he's happy or growling.
Yeah.
His face is like not symmetrical. But all of the de-aged stuff with him fighting the Nazis on the train, I thought was brilliant. Like I was like, this was a 30-minute indie movie. That was great.
sounded
And
like,
then
"Say no ticket.
and then,
Say no ticket."
No, he has a new line. He does something
brilliant.
different. You'll have to watch it. Well, or don't, because like no
wait.
one's watching it. Yeah, well, wait
get
till
on
it's on
DVD.
Disney streaming. And of
Yeah,
course,
I am.
Disney are well aware of that. That's become like a meme now. Like, I'll just wait for it to come on streaming, because no one's going to see their movies lately. But then the big trend in Hollywood right now is no one's going to see any of these movies. And people are wondering, is it because like people are fed up with the cinema, or is it because all the films in there are shit, or is it
We're
because
supporting the Screen Actors Guild apparently.
we're supporting right?
Well, I think it's
by not paying.
think
Good
it's a-
thing is no one's making any fucking movies at the minute.
It's a combination thing, isn't it? They've tried to just keep the indie movies down that we really want to watch and fill us with all these fucking big blockbuster money making pieces of shit that they go, "You really want to watch this?" And that's, I mean, people say to you, "Why do you wiki your movies here?" Because I cannot be bothered to go to the cinema every week to try to catch up with everything, because everyone's telling me I've got to go to the cinema and I've got to see this on a big screen. I mean, you're going to see Oppenheimer on IMAX, and I know that everybody's so fucking excited about it. I'm so fucking tired.
Yeah, but for me, I mean,
So bored,
Nolan's
so-
a director that's
but-
bought plenty of like,
but
you
not
know,
just
sort of
that.
like
I
credit
was-
with me to.
I was tired.
Although I wanna
of
see
just
this
hearing
now,
about
He's earned the
Oppenheimer.
price of admission.
I was tired of hearing
It's like
about
games.
Barbie. I was tired about hearing about the Flash before that, and it's just been one thing after another where I'm like, I'll go to the cinema when I want to, not because
When the
society
thing's in
tells me.
5K,
Yeah.
I will go to the cinema.
No, like, do you know what I really want to go see at the moment? When the grandchildren come down in a couple of weeks, I want to take the youngest grandchild to go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah, it's great.
Not because I want to go see it, but because I want to spend time in the cinema with a small child watching a big film. I want to go to the cinema and actually enjoy it. Not just go because I've got to pay my money to support whatever, the Actors Guild, the fucking directors, the Oscars, whatever. I'm buying it on DVD anyway.
Do you
Spending
think,
twice as much fucking
Do you
on
think
this
maybe
shit.
in a way, like a lot of it is we're kind of we're inundated with sort of too much information. So you have like films like The Flash, where you just obviously that's marred in controversy anyway. But you also just hear so much about like things like reshoots and stuff. They're fucking reshoot. Well, they're not now. But before the strike, they were about to reshoot Aquaman 2.
Yeah, I
But
literally
you
got it
fucking
in
reshoot on
the
that.
news
What?
segment.
Yeah, sorry,
literally.
spoilers. So do you know what I mean? And in a way, that does make you kind of like, oh god, that doesn't sound great. And
Yeah.
it's
Doesn't sound good.
this constant meddling and just. It's very rare now for a movie to just be like, look, we've got an idea, we're going to put it out. there it is.
And it's
You know what I
done.
mean?
But if it does
Yeah.
do that, you don't hear about it because it's
Probably
not
don't, because
as-
you're too busy looking at all the news about the reshoots
yeah,
and everything.
yeah. So catch up news, Gary.
So just as is, the new Indiana Jones movie, just for a record, is sitting at a 6.9 on IMDb, whereas the Crystal Skull is a 6.2. So,
I like
So
it.
it's not
a
a
few
shit as
points
Eternals.
right.
not
It's not
shit
a
as
shit as
Eternals.
Eternals.
Yeah, so Indy had some good set pieces. The first half hour was great, and the last half hour was great. All of the middle,
And Mickelson, the bad guy in it?
yes,
Matt
yeah, he's great.
Nicholson.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, and of course he's the villain for the first part,
'Cause
and
he's
then
great.
Yeah, and then typical chase movie, really. But yeah, the next thing I want to talk about very quickly is Fear the Walking Dead. That zombie show, that continuation of The Walking Dead, is on season 8 right now, and part 1 has
Jesus
just
Christ,
concluded.
season
Yeah. Part 2 will be the finale of Fear the Walking Dead, and they've just Lenny James has just bowed out from the show. Of course, if you recognise the name, he played Morgan all the way back in the very first episode of The Walking Dead. So his story has now come to a conclusion. If you were
Sorry,
watching
I'm just
Fear the
thinking
Walking
about-
Dead,
I was just thinking about him from Snatch. Why has he got a tea cozy on his head?
but yeah, if you were watching Fear the Walking Dead, you know that Kim Dickens was the
The fuck is he getting away from?
the head of the show. She was the main character, but now she's back for the final season. So it's kind of it's a little bit disappointing, honestly. I think the Fear the Walking Dead has been up and down, up and down. Usually, when The Walking Dead was bad, Fear was good, and vice versa. But unfortunately, Fear those last 6 episodes were a bit of a drag, and I'm usually one to say no, the drama and the characters is what keeps it going, but the writing there just kind of didn't work for me. So as a fan of the show, wasn't too impressed. But is it City of the Dead? What's it called? The other one?
City of the Dead.
Yeah,
City of the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Shitty walk, take a road
I've only seen the first episode of that one so far, and it's still more of the same.
That's the
except-
Negan and
yes,
Maggie one, right?
yeah. But the setting is what makes it hugely different. Seeing that cityscape at night, the shadows, the buildings, the zombies. Haven't seen that in the Walking Dead universe for like hundreds of episodes. So it's actually quite refreshing, even if the characters are kind of repeating some of the stuff that happened at the closure of the Walking Dead. Next thing I want to talk about is PC issues that I've had lately. Of course, one of the reasons why the podcast didn't happen last month was partly because of the heat wave, and partly because the PC was just having
Melted.
none of it. It was having loads of blue screens of death. But since then, I got a new motherboard in there, and everything does seem to be working fine. It took a chunk of life out of me getting this running, but it's all working now. Next thing I want to talk about is a video game. I've been streaming on Twitch at the moment. Aliens Dark Descent. It's one of those games that I was super excited for, got in there and got my ass absolutely handed to me repeatedly.
It fisted you.
And I found out that the game has had a lot of bugs. Yeah, I had duplicating aliens. I had Marines getting stuck in the terrain.
Yeah.
Some weird bugs where one of my Marines literally cloned himself when he came back on the dropship, which caused all kinds of continuous errors in that run. So I've restarted the game.
So it's
I've
a Triple
learned-
A's title then.
It's not, but
Well, I mean, in comparison to some, it may be.
right. But it's difficult. It's a challenging game. If you're a fan of the Aliens universe, and we get lots of shitty Aliens games, this one's a good one that has some problems right now. But the developers have been releasing patches as they go. They know that there's problems with the game, but they're going to be fixing them. It's a real love I have for that game. Even though I've stressed with it. The more I play it, the more I learn the mechanics, because it's there's not many games like it. A lot of people compare it to XCOM, except that it's not turn-based.
It's more
all
like
real time.
It's more like Alien vs Predator Extinction.
Yes, yeah. It was also a bit like the other Starship Troopers game that came out last year. No, not the one that not Extermination, the other one.
Or whatever,
yeah,
Base
because
Command,
you don't control, don't do base building, but you usually just control a small squad.
Games like that have always lent themselves towards that command and conquer style of fucking gameplay.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, isn't
So
it,
you
at the end
don't
of the day?
need top-of-the-line graphics because of the camera perspective. What you do need is some good gameplay and some good atmosphere, which the game really has. So yeah, it's one that I do recommend. Next thing I want to talk about very quickly is From Season 2. If you've been listening to the podcast, you'll know I was praising the first season. Season 2 is now wrapped. It has been renewed for a third season. It stars Michael Perrineau, and it's definitely a show worth watching if you're a fan of shows like Lost. Even one of the writers from Lost is now actually writing from as well. Small premise of the show is that people, it's kind of like a Twilight Zone Lost thing, where people, no matter where they are in America, they go down this road, they see a fallen tree, they go back, and they end up in this town, which no matter which road you drive out of it, you just end up driving right back into it. And at nighttime, vampiric demon things come out and will eat you unless you're hiding somewhere. And then they find out that they have talismans that they put on their houses to protect them at night. But then, so the drama unfolds as you get this Stephen King type ensemble of characters. Of course, Stephen King has been tweeting about this show non-stop. You can see why he's a huge fan of it. It feels like it was written by him, and he's fully endorsing
Do you reckon
the
he
show.
assumes it? He's like, this must be mine too, right? This one mine?
Everything's fine.
But yeah, some really good acting, ensemble cast. It's one of those where each episode leaves you with a cliffhanger and 3 more questions, and the next episode won't answer any of them. You keep watching.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, the season 2 ending just ended with a huge whoa, what the hell, like now I gotta wait another freaking year. So yeah, it's one of those. So if you like good long horror stories, you need to watch From. Check it out. Alrighty, I think we should move on to the news.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got some sad news stories. Of course, it's been 2 months since the last one, so a few noteworthy actors passed away. First one I want to bring up is Ray Stevenson. Sadly, he's passed away at the age of 58.
That's
An
nice.
Irish actor who stood out in all of his roles, from Rome, the Thor movies, Punisher, Warzone. He appeared in such TV shows as Holby City and The Bill. He had roles in Black Sails, Dexter, and so many more. He usually plays
he was the lead sort of like antagonist in that RRR movie that I said about at Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
Like, the fucking typical British throw the kids on the fire. That kind of evil.
So he
But
usually
was
plays
great.
the villain,
man,
and
he was
everything.
great.
But by all accounts, a real
big
gentle
character.
giant, heart of gold. So absolutely missed by those around him. So yeah, sad to see him go at quite a young age.
Very young.
Tina Turner, now not necessarily a film star, but absolutely iconic.
Fucking Thunderdome.
Yeah, Thunderdome, and of
Thunderdome,
course the Acid Queen in the Who's Tommy movie.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
passed
So
away at the age of 83.
She's in film. She's fucking wonderful.
An absolute legend in the pop and R&B world. Some of her best songs included What's Love Got to Do With It, The Best, Private Dancer, and Goldeneye.
She went hard in the paint for Goldeneye.
Goldeneye, yeah. Fucking love
That's
that.
a banger.
You're right. And now this one actually brings some closure onto a 5-month story now. We reported back then that Julian Sands has disappeared, but they have since recovered his body and reported that he has passed away now at the age of 65. Yorkshire actor, brilliant as both a villain and a hero, stood out in all of his roles, from The Killing Fields, A Room with a View, Warlock, Naked Lunch, Arachnophobia, Boxing Helena, Phantom of the Opera.
Loved him in Boxing Helena.
Yeah, he appeared in TV shows such as Crossbones, Stargate, Castle, Dexter. And it's just sad to hear that.
Dexter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, but okay.
But yeah, sad to say that he went out on a hiking outdoors thing in California, and bad weather, and disappeared. And so it's just sad that it took 5 months to reclaim his body. But will be missed.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Alrighty, well we've mentioned this already in passing. The writers' strike has
Kicked off.
It has
Oh, my
kicked off.
word.
I thought maybe things would get resolved. They've explained their grievances. They're upset with not receiving streaming residuals. They're upset with AI writing scripts and producers just taking the money. And it's been unresolved. And so since then, just since Thursday, the Screen Actors Guild now joins the writer's strike. So the strike was called on Thursday morning by the US Actors Union, SAG-AFTRA, which was formed in 2012 after a merger between the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. Now, after the breakdown in negotiations with the Alliance of the Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents the studio bosses, has like 160,000 members, actors in film, TV shows, radio, video game performers, voiceovers, radio presenters, models, influencers, all that kind of stuff.
That guild,
and now anyone in that guild, if they're part of it, like one of their rules is you stop work wherever you are in the world immediately. So now that the writers are out, actors are out, which means talk show presenters are not going to have hosts. At film festivals, marketing, none of the actors are going to be doing interviews, doing any promotion, and they're not going to be working.
They left the Oppenheimer. What was it? They had the premiere of Oppenheimer, and they literally left
in time with the deadline. Yeah, so they wouldn't get into trouble.
Do you know what's fucked up is because me and a mate of mine were talking about this yesterday when it happened and stuff. And he was kind of like, look, there's a lot of like people saying, oh, fucking, you know, like they're making millions and millions. This isn't. You see those high profile people
it's not about
leaving
them.
because they are the high profile people that are leaving, but it's really not about them. It is about these people that are earning way less, that are creating content and then losing out on things like streaming and such and everything like that. So it is more about the little guy. So I was trying to explain that to him, and then he reminded me, he's like, you know, that means that they've stopped Deadpool 3. And I was like, motherfucker!
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to remember, it really does filter down to guys that are earning probably actually not far off what most of us earn in an average sort of job, really, when they're creating stuff that higher ups are earning a literal fortune
millions
from
and millions,
continuous residual payments from services to streaming and merchandise and everything.
What I think is funny, and I think it's absolutely stupid at the same time, is that you know what for the last month or so we've had strikes over here in regards to teachers striking, nurses striking, doctors striking, and we just carried on like, oh, it was
because cost of living and everything else is just.
Fucking
people are buckling
the Screen Actors Guild fucking drops and the actors fucking stop filming and the whole world goes fucking crazy like, oh my god, what are we gonna watch for the next 6 months if nobody's working? It's like, bitch, take some of that money
still on
and give it to the
Netflix.
teachers and the doctors and the nurses so that they can fucking help actual people. Just because fucking, you know, that I get it, like it's filtering down to the little people, because when I saw on the news the like people over there striking with their signs, didn't recognize a single actor. Not one. I'm like, oh, so where are all these big name actors? Why aren't they
well,
there?
they are
you're saying
voices,
it's pulled the focus away from more like essential services that have also been striking for a while.
Well,
so you're trying to say that clapping on my doorstep for the NHS didn't fix
that's
it?
What I mean. In fairness, that's kind of how the media works, though, doesn't it? Something the media comes along and says, we don't want them to look over there at this problem, so we'll give them another problem, and that'll distract them for a little while, so that we can try to rectify this one secretly with something else, and then we'll fix this one, and then by Christmas everybody will be in the cinema watching the next fucking Pirates movie anyway.
Woohoo!
And do you know what's funny? Like how long it's been going on with like the writer's strike? Because one thing I watch a lot is like I get up early. I get up early in the morning. I drive to the fucking gym and I go and do the gym. But the thing I watch for whatever reason I just got into as habit is I watch a lot of like late night talk shows like the Late Show with Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and stuff in the States. Because you do get some quite good entertainment news in it, and obviously that's been off the table for like fucking months now, because obviously the writer's strike happened, so they were like, that's it, we're pinning it off. There was more content from them during the pandemic than there has been for the last few months, so it's like it really has been going on, and it's taken a long time to escalate to this. It's crazy.
Well, I hope they get a good resolution out of this, because
I do too, man.
It's too much money.
Listen, everyone, you know, no matter where you are, you should get fucking paid when you work, and you know, when you contribute and earn someone else some money, you should get a cut of that. It's you know.
Yeah. Well, I guess most of all the other news stories now, with a lot of shows and movies in suspension. We'll just have to see what happens with this next news story. A long-awaited sequel to 28 Days Later. 29 years later, seems to be moving closer to production as the original team.
Until this week.
Until this week, right? Director...
All these stories.
Exactly.
Until this week.
Exactly, right. So director Danny Boyle, writer Alex Garland, and star Cillian Murphy have confirmed the script is coming along. There's no green light yet, but they all want to work with each other and make this project happen. Alex Garland was like, none of them had any involvement in the sequel.
Yeah.
But and they were like, we don't want to just make another one. We only want to do it when we've got something we want to do, like worth telling. They said they've got it, and now that's why they're passionate about it. So of course, I don't know what's happening because I hear that in England over here, there's lots of connections with the American Actors Guilds and Association. So I think it won't be long as well before all of the English writers and actors and everything else will also be joining the strikes as well, because it's all kind of connected.
That's the thing, isn't it? We don't have as many British homemade production companies over here anymore. We used to have a few good ones, and then obviously
not as many as we used to.
Well, not as many as we used to, and
but we still do.
I think that's where a lot of good work came
I assume
from.
Microsoft bought them all. They just buy everything.
I'd like to see a third one finish off the story, because I mean I don't mind the second one. And the first one is so groundbreaking, but at the same time my concern is are you taking too much away from what made the first one so good? The first one came along and it rebirthed the zombie.
It did,
even though they're not zombies,
yeah.
they're infected, but it rebirthed the zombie fucking horror movies to come back out again. It gave us a completely new look on these creatures, these horrible infected creatures.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy, it wasn't. I don't think it was his first major role, but he was.
It's the first one I noticed him. Yeah.
He was so fucking good.
Now you put me on spot. I can't think of one before.
The second one, I don't mind. I mean, Robert, it was just hooped up to 11. We had Jeremy Renner.
That's the first time I ever saw a movie with him in.
Robert Carlyle. I'd like to see an ending, but yeah.
Yeah,
skeptical.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that one. Also be kind of interesting to see what they do with this next story as well. We mentioned it earlier. Aquaman 2 has been undergoing reshoots now.
No, it isn't.
Or now it isn't. Again, but the thing is, the film started production 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2
and then
years
Amber
ago.
Heard went to court.
And then that happened, and then
She shit the bed.
I think like Jason Momoa was like, "What? I thought I was done with the whole DC thing." I'm like. More?
They're like, no, we've got one more contract.
But yeah, you'd think they wouldn't keep spending money on this film, considering Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Flash, and everything else going on. They're like, well, let's keep throwing more money at Aquaman.
Dude, obviously,
do they really need to?
Not spoilering it for.
I mean, we could do it already.
No. But
that's why they're reshooting it. They're like, we'll fucking show this guy.
Not spoiling the one of the future reviews we've got going up, but we've seen it in the film from the fucking 70s, where you've got executives all sitting around a table discussing if they should just completely trash this production, which is almost completed,
or tax write it off,
or if they keep putting money into it so that when it gets out, they'll actually try to make some money back and tax write it off. So more profit for them.
Yeah.
In the long run, they hate it, and the actors hate it, and the writers hate it, and everybody on the sets fucking hate it because they know the film's not worth it.
You've also got conditions that were brought over with the Time Warner acquisition
as
well.
Yeah.
It may be one of them. I'm not saying I've read anything like that, but I'm just saying it could be one of them that they were like, we're bidding off this Batgirl movie that's apparently phenomenal. You're never going to see that again, but we would like Aquaman 2 because Jason Momoa. Or something like
He's still popular, right?
Of course he is.
Yeah.
And I like him as Aquaman.
Millions.
And it made fucking money.
I like him as Aquaman.
Yeah.
What? Aquaman made loads of money.
Yeah, it was hugely successful. Yeah.
Whether
you like it or not.
And I completely hear that. The movie was wank. The
Fair.
movie was wank.
It worked great.
It was.
I like him. He's likable as fuck as Aquaman.
But that's.
And there were some good scenes in it, and there were some mostly terrible ones.
There was fucking shit in there. That point where he goes, I found the trident, and luckily they had this fucking special gold and green suit for me, which is absolutely perfectly made to my exact fucking size.
Because it's his ancestor. And it's a fucking movie, dude. Just like that guy on the internet.
You know what? This is what pissed me off. When people go, Iain needs shit spoon-fed to him. So I sit there and I watch a film where it spoon-feeds me and I'm like, this is fucking shit.
I can explain this to you really easily. Because this is the thing is, when you're built like Jason Momoa, and they just hand you a skin, like what? His vestigial twin. So if you're built like Jason Momoa, and they hand you a fucking skin-tight suit, the motherfucker fits. And that's what you look like in it. That's why you don't understand it. Because if you put it on, you
where's this trident? This trident has been hidden somewhere in the whole universe. He has to go on this mystical quest, and when he finally finds it, he's actually got the outfit in there because somebody thousands of years ago went, well, one day Aquaman or the new king is going to need this. It's not going to be a girl. It might not be a girl that gets born. It's going to be a fucking man.
Of course, it was a king.
No,
Okay, sorry. Do you have the same problem with like, you know, Conan and Crom and like him wearing his armor and stuff? Like, because it's the fucking same thing.
Okay, no, fucking tangent at the moment. No, it's fucking not.
Are you? I'm glad you
Conan went into a cave and found a sword. That's it. The armor that he got at the end was scrap armor that he'd found laying around in that battlefield. That's it.
Good job that all fitted then.
Fucking Aquaman swam to a fucking temple that had been hidden for thousands of years and found an outfit made specifically for him. And what I'm saying is how the fuck did they know that it was going to be a boy that was fucking born? He was a fucking hybrid between the fucking mum and
It
daughter.
is
They couldn't have fucking
Aquaman.
predicted.
It's Aquaman, not Aqua Lady. That's the point.
Smack the shit.
Aquaman.
This is my problem with the
You ain't got
fucking
enough energy,
fucking
bitch.
people said that going DC movies are good because they just fucking feed me.
I don't
the
think a
fucking
lot of people
bullshit.
say that. I don't think a lot of people say that, dude.
Aquaman 2 is gonna fucking be shit. And Screen Actors Guild.
Whichever version you see.
So.
Okay, let's move on to some more news stories.
It'd be like you went into like that costume shop, didn't you? And she was like, one size fits all my fucking shit, and left.
No, I just fucking
ruined my Halloween.
I hate that fucking movie.
Well, Ian, you had to
as
swim
well.
into a secret hidden temple
It's
to find the
fucking
real.
bullshit.
It's like fitting rooms, dude. There were other temples
I
next
didn't think a
door.
movie could be worse than Wolverine's origin when I fucking watched Hugh Jackman's giant fucking head walking away from an explosion. And then I watched Aquaman and I was like, no, it can get fucking worse. Oh, what's worse than this? Wonder Woman 84? Oh, yeah, thanks DC. Just keep
Great
adding me
point, actually.
fucking...
Dave just made a great point. He's saying the exact same thing about Superman.
It's magic. It
What if it's going to be a
stretches
super
into...
lady?
Yeah, hold on. No. Superman, and let's go with Man of Steel, right?
Yeah.
Man of Steel, he was sent there by his father, who knew he was a boy.
No, wait. But the ship they found was just a random.
Oh,
scout ship.
yeah. It was a random.
Happened to have a bunch of guys.
It was a random
stuff on
scout
it,
ship
though.
that didn't
This
have a
is funny.
suit. It didn't have a suit made for him. It had a suit made for a Kryptonian male.
Yeah. So how did he fit in it? Because he's buff as fuck. That's how that works. If you're pretty, things work out.
They just have
this
to
is-
work out.
That scout ship would have had loads of fucking Kryptonians in at some point, so he's actually wearing somebody's dead fucking outfit, right? Who put the fucking outfit in the cave for Aquaman to find?
His missus, duh. The king's missus, because that's what she does. He's the king. Aquaman, not Aqua Lady.
How long was that suit down there for?
Oh,
How
fuck.
long?
Okay, sorry. You're assuming I paid that close attention to the plot. Like,
Yeah, because they don't actually say
Wow.
it. They don't actually say it, you know. No effect. Oh, wait, and on top of that, then he gets that fucking stupid octopus thing to destroy half the fucking base, the ground of the fucking ocean, and has no knock-on effect to the rest of the fucking world.
so you're just annoyed that he came out with a comic book accurate costume on.
No. I'm annoyed that DC kept
Do you know what you should
putting
be
out
annoyed
these
about?
movies,
No,
hoping
but
that
do
we
you know what
wouldn't
you should-
notice
Do you know what you
these
should be
fucking
annoyed
things.
about? And what we did notice is that the fact that he went down there and sort of like, you know, came out with that and then wasn't wearing it later in Justice League. You're like,
No.
why are you not breaking out the fucking orange costume that
Yeah,
you
why
got?
haven't you got that one?
That was really cool. Why have you gone back to the old one?
I can't believe we spent this long talking about Aquaman.
You brought up
Like-
the
Brought it up,
reshoots.
motherfucker.
That's true, yeah.
Next question.
I'm gonna go watch it now.
Continuing on from writer strike news, Akiva Goldsman confirms. Well, this is something we've like it's been happening and not happening. Constantine 2, with star Keanu Reeves. Apparently, it is still happening, despite the DC shake-up with James Gunn taking over.
He said he wanted to do it, right? Didn't he? He was the
Wait,
one that
they
crafted
said
it.
they were going to do it. Then James Gunn took over at DC, and then it was announced that it wasn't going to happen. But because, well, Keanu Reeves,
He doesn't like guns.
and
John Wick said, "Hell yeah."
because John Wick said, yeah, we're doing Constantine too. So James Gunn went, okay, you can actually still do it. But then writer strike, so it's delayed again. Akiva said that my pens are down, so there's nothing to do. But those are the next things that I'm writing when I'm allowed to write again. He said he's already begun I Am Legend 2, which is going ahead, as well as Constantine 2, but he's not allowed to write anything for either of them yet, despite
Am Legend
them going
2.
ahead. So yeah, just
Another
I'm just
film.
glad to hear that we will still get a sequel to Constantine
Yeah, man, that'd be cool.
before the DC.
Yeah,
you know,
Constantine
again,
wise, but-
because James Gunn said it's going to be Elseworld stories within DC, so
Yeah, well,
it's not
fucking-
going to.
Those are always their best films,
best ones, yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
you might as
yeah.
well.
Am
Although
Legend 2.
apparently James Gunn hasn't yet announced what's actually going to be happening with his Suicide Squad sequel. because people still want more Peacemaker, more John Cena, and more Suicide Squad stuff. So it's like, is that going to be canon to the new DC, or will that continue as Elseworlds stuff as well?
It'll just be separate because you know what DC like. They're like, oh, don't pay attention to any of the past movies. We're just going to make whatever we want up.
Who knows?
Keep
Who
filming
knows?
at it. Oh, the director's turned out to be a child murdering maniac. That's fine. We'll take him off and put a new one in.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Another sequel that has now actually finished production ahead of the strikes, Ghostbusters Afterlife 2. Although it doesn't actually have, it's still an unknown title yet. It's just, that's all we know to call it so far. But Ernie Hudson has said that yes, they have wrapped filming. The movie's done, it's wrapped, in his words. Obviously, they're now editing and doing whatever else. I've heard rumours the end of the year they'll push for, or maybe spring next year. I know how the studios are going to do whatever they do, but the filming is done, which was a little bit difficult with the writer's strike and everything going on. So I know there was a lot of shuffling around in terms of where it was being done, but I'm thankful that we at least got it done in the can, and now I'm like everybody else waiting to see what it all looks like. It's currently slated for a 20th of December release date.
What, this year?
Same day as Aquaman 2.
Oh, fucking sweet.
So yeah, Ghostbusters 2, Aquaman 2, it's releasing the same day.
Oh, they're going to do a Barbie Oppenheimer thing.
Yeah, right.
I'm really hoping he's had a little bit of a leeway in the background for Ernie Hudson. Because
Ernie Hudson, the reason why I'm mentioning his quote as well, because the last film teased him like going back
Taking
to
over.
New York and buying the firehouse, and that is
that's
it.
what I'm hoping.
He's
those
now
are
running the
post-credits,
firehouse.
Yeah, it's post credits, but it's the fact that like always loved Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
Thought he brought some real reality gravitas to this.
To the other movies,
to the
yeah.
movies, and obviously he's been left out a lot of the time. First one and second one, he didn't get as much screen time. He didn't get as much of the action sequences. He was just a comedy kind of relief.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about fucking Afterlife. I get away from the whole Egon thing.
It's great.
If it's just gonna be the kids and Ernie Hudson, that I think will be great. You don't need to keep harkening back to Bill Murray or fucking Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Although they've all in the credits. Sigourney as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
But
really?
Yeah.
But if you want to keep the
down for that.
But yeah, I
Down
know.
for
That's
that.
what
if you want to keep it the franchise live, you're going to have to stem off and do your own thing.
Yeah.
Because you can't rely on keep falling back on them anymore.
Yeah, we said. What did we say this? Oh, it was Evil Dead, wasn't it? We were saying sort
Evil
of
Dead.
like, you know, when we were saying about the callback to the chainsaw, the callback to the shot. I was like, it was all awesome, but now let's start building our new world.
Yeah,
and
let's
stuff
do
like-
that, do
No,
that, you know.
dude, listen, I loved Afterlife,
Have
but I
Ernie
agree.
Hudson at home, at the
I
firehouse
really
calling
love.
up and the kids going
Yeah,
out.
you have a
I
cameo and
just
stuff,
think-
it's fine, but it's like those kids were like the heart of the fucking movie. Let's give them their.
3/4 of the way through the movie, the girl realizes that actually she was created by her granddad for his cloning experiments. That'd be great in the basement.
I actually want that to happen now.
right.
Because it would be really fucking funny.
But yeah, I mean, I thought Afterlife, I really, really enjoyed that one. I thought it was a legacy sequel done right compared to so many that I think were wrong. And
Fucking J.K. Simmons.
and I
just
think
fucking
it
in the
showed
face.
that they could do a Ghostbusters movie outside of New York, outside of that firehouse, which is bloody iconic. But I'm also giddy and excited to see that Ecto-1 roaring out of that firehouse with the sirens
the noise,
going.
man. That's
You
the
know, I
noise.
just I need it. I need it. So I'm pretty excited for it. I'm hoping for good things. Just like this next news story, the 7th Alien movie has also wrapped filming ahead of the strikes. It's described, as we've said, as a standalone story, no continuation of the previous films. Its release date is now listed for August of next year, so August 2024 for Alien Romulus. That's the shooting title.
Time scale of where it fits at all.
There's a single image from behind the scenes with the
I've
slate
seen
board,
it.
and it looks like it's set between Alien and Aliens, because it has that retro Alien isolation look.
Yeah.
So, so I think that's when it's going
Why
to be placed, but I'm not
Romulus?
sure whether it's due to the meaning of the Romulus.
I was going to say, if they named the
Romulus
planet
God. I mean,
Romulus,
like Prometheus, Romulus.
Yeah, I
you
was just
know,
about to say, I
it
think
might
they're
be
just
following
following
that,
that.
but don't know what the actual film title is going to be. That was its shooting title. So whether it changes or not, we don't know. It might just come out.
They
and
all
be
do, don't
Alien.
they? A lot of films do that. They have a different.
Yeah.
They have a different
code
title,
word or
and like a
something.
code word,
Yeah.
project,
Yeah.
whatever.
So we Aliens, Ancient Rome. You know, there's.
Fuck yeah.
Well, speaking of Alien, Neil Blomkamp has recently voiced how it felt to have Alien 5 scrapped after all the hype it received.
Yeah.
You know, he went pretty quiet after we, all of us, myself included, when we saw his production ideas for what was his planned Alien 5 before we got Covenant instead. He said that that stuff hit me the hardest in my own career, as it's the projects that didn't get made. Alien predominantly, and since that project got cancelled, you'll check, he's not made another film in Hollywood.
No.
He literally said
on
no.
Oak Studios, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He went and found his own studio. This is what he said of the system. He said, if I was more of a McDonald's, Burger King type studio lackey director that makes one film every year or every year and a half, but naturally I'm an artist who doesn't play that Hollywood game. So when I left, I thought about things, and I've come back with a different point of view about how I'm going to approach Hollywood, and that's why making his own Oat Studio.
That's cool, man.
Making his own films, his own projects, and showing what he can do, because I still think
he could
one of the biggest missed opportunities.
He could probably do very well now while the strike's going on if he came forward with an idea.
Well, you might have trouble hiring actors at this moment, but
but at the same time, he might have problems hiring people. But if he's, you look what he did with District 9. That literally just came out of nowhere.
Well, we know he's working on District 9 too as well.
No budget, and he just filmed on the fly and he did it. That's what he could do to steal the limelight from Hollywood.
That was the other thing why he got upset, because Chappie 2 was in development hell for a long time until eventually the studio went, nah, you're not
go
doing
sleepy
it.
now.
So it's just Neil Blomkamp's been put through the ringer in Hollywood, and so it's understandable that he's not making anything for them right now. Really sad. Well, speaking of also coming to the end of their filmmaking careers, Quentin Tarantino has officially shut down any possibility of making another film, especially a Kill Bill Volume 3, saying, I don't see that. My last film, that's his words, my last film is about a film critic, a male critic, and he plays in the 70s. So he's sticking to his gun about his 10 movies, then tapping out. Right? He's already said, I want to write scripts, and I want to write books, and I want to write other stuff. I don't want to direct. I don't want to write and direct my own thing again. I was like, he's done with it. He's explored everything he wants to do in filmmaking. He's sticking to his guns.
He's made very few people in that business. Movies of all time, I say.
Very few people in that position get to go out on their terms as such.
And then you get
they're tied into contracts and they've got to do stuff. They've got to come back for things. So fucking.
But then you get someone like Martin Scorsese who's just come out and gone, look, I'm getting to the end of my years and I've got another 100 movies in me. Like, I don't want to stop. Like, I keep reading stories and I keep wanting to make movies.
Well, you keep going, Martin, but every movie that you make is either kind of the same as the last one that you did, or you've got a really unique idea that nobody grasps until a little while later. Tarantino comes along, drops a film.
I disagree with you there.
That's fine.
I think you can recognise the style.
Scorsese can make as many movies as he wants for the rest of his fucking career.
Agreed.
Tarantino made, at the moment, 9, which are standout for him. Like, he doesn't need to make all of these movies to stand out.
I will give you that it makes with Tarantino that you could literally name all of his movies.
Yeah, but
I couldn't do that with Scorsese.
No, I couldn't. But was it Scorsese who did Bringing Out the Dead?
Yes.
Right. So Scorsese Bringing Out the Dead, absolutely great movie. Scorsese did Departed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
The list goes on. All these great movies.
Yeah, masterpieces.
Scorsese,
over and over again.
You can stop. You can slow down because you are as good as you think you are. Dog Day Afternoon, I think, is Scorsese as well. Absolutely. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
why? Just because of age? It's like
no. In comparison,
if he still wants to do it.
In comparison, like I said, Tarantino's gone. I'm done. I've done 10.
But that's what he wants, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm going to do my thing. Same with Scorsese.
Scorsese's like, I want to do 10 next year.
He wants to keep going. And it's like, okay, that's brilliant. But you run the risk like that to make a stinker, which then everybody jumps on the bag. Not me. I'm like, make a stinker. I don't give a fuck. But there'll be people who go, oh my God, it's the worst one. You look what people almost did with The Departed. I love The Departed. I love Internal Affairs.
Departed was really well reviewed and received, wasn't it?
Not by people who'd seen Internal Affairs, which is what The Departed is basically a remake of. Because Scorsese didn't actually go, I've made a remake. He basically went, I've made this brilliant gangster movie set in Boston with all these great characters. Isn't it a remake of Internal Affairs? I don't know.
Well, he directed his film. He didn't write it.
I think he got like I thought he got more shit for just talking crap about Marvel, personally.
Yeah, that as well. He should make a fucking superhero movie.
He fucking should.
He should make a superhero movie.
And it should be fucking Joe Pesci.
Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese directs a DC movie.
What's your superpower? And Joe Pesci is like, shut up, crime. You know,
Shut up, crime. Yeah.
Oh, I need to see this.
Oh, nice.
Well, speaking of things that apparently we don't need to see, Simon Pegg has shut down the rumours that a sequel to Shaun of the Dead was possibly happening.
Yeah.
He said it's the last thing you need. He said, if I ever do an Instagram live or whatever, people are always like, I need Shaun of the Dead 2 in my life. And he's like, no, you fucking don't need Shaun of the Dead 2. The last thing you need is Shaun of the Dead 2. It's done. Move on, were his words. And so Simon Pegg actually at one point penned a screenplay called From Dusk Till Dawn. So at one point, even Simon Pegg wanted to do something else in it. But
title alone, here's some money. Fucking hell.
So yeah, the vampire one. But according to Simon Pegg, he's kind of moving on from stoner comedy silliness and wants to take on more dramatic, serious
roles.
Tom
Cruise now,
he's in Impossible territory.
Exactly.
Hey,
so it's kind of
made
sad.
enough money through Star Trek.
You know, yeah.
I do also agree. One and done with that. I would love to see him with Nick Frost again and
another great
Edgar Wright.
trilogy.
Edgar Wright,
Yeah, I'd love to see them together in another film, but I also don't need
Making
Shaun of the
another
Dead 2
space
anyway.
TV series about a new load of fucking people living in flats.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh, space was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, my last little bit of news snippet here is basically just did you see that picture of Hugh Jackman in that yellow Wolverine suit next to Deadpool?
Oh my god, look what it did. Like, oh, Jesus. Yeah, that was...
If you didn't need any hype, it was just a single behind-the-scenes photo. But how good did they look?
There's been a few more now. There's a video
Really?
of him like in the suit, like practicing
Moving
a fight
around.
scene and moving
Because we
around.
never actually saw him in a suit.
Yeah, because I saw the suit and I was like, oh man, the suit looks a little bit like... like it reminded me of that. No, it reminded me of like the Shazam suit when it was so clearly a muscle suit. It looked a bit buggy, but then when you see him moving around, you're like, oh no, it's cool. It's like...
Yeah.
I like it in X-Men 1 where it's like, is this our outfits? Like,
Yeah,
would you
like
rather
with
wear
yellow
spandex?
Yeah.
I was in the cinema and I was like, yes,
Yes,
motherfucker.
They fucking said it.
That's what I want. Like, love it. Yeah, it looks fucking phenomenal. Just obviously shut down now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Part of me as well, though, is a little bit sort of like, oh man, I could have gone the whole time and not seen that, and that would have been a boot the fucking seat in front of me moment in the cinema for me. Like,
right.
the fuck? Like, you know, it's like a lot of the rumors about, you know, it's a bit of a like multiverse style movie, I suppose, for lack of a better word, and everyone was like, Jennifer Garner's back as Elektra, and everyone was like,
Whoa.
really? And I was like, do you guys remember Jennifer Garner as Elektra? It was fucking awful. Like, you know?
Didn't it have like 3 seasons?
But
or
it's
something?
so great. It's
Well,
the
it's a
same
film,
thing they
wasn't
did
it?
with...
Oh, was it a film?
Yeah, it was a
Did
she
you have a
played
film?
her in the
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm
Daredevil.
Daredevil and then
Yeah.
Elektra.
No, I was thinking of the other TV show she had, which
no.
was the spy drama one.
Oh, Alias.
yeah, Alias, yeah.
Hey, she was good
Anyway.
in that fucking that movie where her kid got killed and she decided to come back and kill all the gangsters. Hummingbird, I think it's called.
Sounds electric.
It was. She actually did her own fight sequences.
Cool.
So that's cool.
Couple of thighs.
Fucking better fighting than
Stabbing fucking
Jason
sandbags.
Momoa in his fucking Aquaman outfit.
Oh, dear.
Bitch.
Your suit fit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fit
It's
right
one size fits all. She's in shape. That's what I'm trying to say.
I like her in
motherfucker.
that one where The Invention of Lying with Ricky Gervais. That was good.
That she was actually
That
quite
was
funny in
really
that,
good,
but
yeah.
then again, the script was better. So.
Yeah.
True. It always comes down to the script.
Mm.
Okay, well that concludes our news stories. I've only got one trailer highlighted to talk about, and it just dropped the other week. Napoleon from director Ridley Scott. Now, I like historical drama. It looks absolutely phenomenal.
So
Like
what
this
you
is
want.
Ridley
Fuck
Scott,
yeah, man.
just absolutely with that eye for detail and attention. Every shot in that trailer just looks like, you know, a vintage painting brought to life. It looks absolutely phenomenal.
We're
The
gonna blow your
soundtrack,
cock
the editing,
off.
it looks really good. So I just say what you will about Ridley Scott or the actors in it. I think it looks like an absolute highlight of the year. Really, really interesting.
Yeah,
And something
I'll
else
be
to talk
watching
about
that.
other than fucking Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Fucking over.
But there is also one other trailer that I didn't write down to talk about. It's because I'm super, super excited about it. And that is Jason Statham is getting ready to punch multiple sharks in the face. Meg 2 this summer, this August. I'm going to be in the cinema.
This is what I work with. He sits there and he judges me whenever I fucking talk about films and shit, and then he gets mad excited over some CGI shitty shark movie that's coming out. Man, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna go fucking see it in the cinema too. But
no, you're not.
You're gonna see that in the cinema?
Yeah, because I'm gonna take the kids to see it. Dylan really liked Meg 1,
Your
and I'm
kids
like,
are stupid.
yeah, I know, because I'm like, Jaws is so much better. You know,
yeah, I know that.
But
Like,
like Gary says, it's stupid shark movie.
I want to watch hundreds of people get chomped.
They're not. That dog survived the fucking first one.
The second one looks like they're gonna kill me.
It looks, Gary. It looks. It may not.
The trailer already took my
The
money.
trailer could be wrong.
Yeah, there was a lot of threat in that first trailer.
It killed
None
a
of it fucking
T-Rex in the opening of the trailer, Ian.
Look, I said to you earlier, the worst thing about that in the trailer
T-Rex.
is the fact that that is the opening part of the first book.
Yeah.
It's like gives you a like, if we go back 65 million years, and it takes this whole thing through of the T-Rex going into the ocean and getting eaten by a Meg, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So what really fucking grinds my gears is the fact that, okay, so someone read the books then, and you still made this fucking movie.
They read the first chapter.
They read the first chapter, and now we
Like, this will make a good trailer spot. Fucking threw that in the bin. Like, what's it called? Jonah. Right, done.
I agree. It would make for a good trailer.
Tell me you did not just see that.
Oh,
That
hey,
shark recognized
Have you
that
seen
gun.
that? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna move on before I get
Stop digging
ridiculed
his grave.
anymore. Alrighty, well that concludes the first part of the podcast. We are going to take a small break, but when we come back,
Yes.
Ian is going to be hosting a segment
Oh, yeah,
talking
yeah.
all about
got
Brad Pitt and
do
his
some-
movie career.
I gotta do some work.
Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to the second part of the podcast where we're going to be discussing Brad Pitt and his movie career.
Yeah.
This will probably be the first in potentially a series of podcast themes.
On Brad Pitt.
On just
No, not just on fucking Brad
I mean,
Pitt.
we're going to do different
Oh,
actors,
misunderstood.
No,
writers,
no.
directors.
Like I'll be honest. I wanted to be honest about where this idea really came from. And a while ago, like I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Late one night, long fucking movie. I fell asleep. I woke up at the end. If you haven't seen the movie, you should go out and see it. But spoilers, there's
but not too late.
yeah, don't start it, like, because it's like 3.5 hours fucking longer. So, like, there's a sequence at the end where the people that were involved in the
Manson family.
Yeah, the Manson family. They turn out it's not Karen Tate, was it? Fucking
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate. The people that murdered Sharon Tate. The ending for the movie was changed for Tarantino's way, where they turn up and Brad Pitt is there. He has smoked an acid-laced cigarette. The music was absolutely phenomenal. The camera work was fucking phenomenal. His acting was fucking phenomenal. And I was, like I said, I'm half awake. I'm seeing this happening, and I've had a few beers, and it just.
You're in the same state as an acid-laced cigarette.
Yeah, man, seriously.
You're
Am I
watching
still
like,
asleep?
I get it,
Honestly,
I get it.
when I fell asleep, he had bought it, but there's that section where he goes to Italy and comes back. So when I woke up, like, he had it, and I was like, what the fuck? But it was
This
then.
fucker travels like John
I'm
Wick.
sat there and I'm watching him, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I might be wrong, and normally I am. I'll happily hold my hands
you
up and
believe
say
in
that I'm
it.
wrong. I personally believed at that point that for me personally, Brad Pitt was just up in at least the top 3 greatest actors of all time. That if I was ever going to name them, you know, there are many actors over the years that you could watch. You know,
Probably put him on my Mount Rushmore. for
and
sure.
I'll go back to I'll go back to some of the you know back in the day where you have your James Stewarts, your James Cagney, your fucking Gregory Pecks, your fucking Kirk Douglas, your Burt Lancasters, you know, going all the way up. All of a sudden, boom.
He's
Brad
like a
Pitt's
generational
there.
version of like if someone built a movie star in a lab, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
So-
yeah,
and
totally.
and
It's like him, Clooney, fucking, you know.
And it was coming up to a point where, like we said, we were talking about themes for the podcast, and I thought, well, you know, we should really,
Last comment, guys.
we really should get like an actor that we can discuss. And so Brad Pitt was like right on top of my list. You know, Kurt Russell's way too easy. Bruce Campbell's way too
It's
easy.
been 90 minutes of you yelling Kurt motherfucking Russell at the top of your lungs.
Exactly. So it takes something like Brad Pitt, and what was really outstanding was just actually going back and looking at his career. Now, the guy, obviously, William Bradley Pitt, as he is known.
His birth name. Yeah.
Wilfred.
I made notes, so you can't see it. I mean, the people that are watching us live can see it, but I've just shown my notes.
Where'd you get all that information from?
Wikipedia, I got my phone out. I check my shit, man. William Bradley Pitt, born December 18th, 1963 in Shawnee, Oklahoma. You know, he's been working since 1987 up to present day. He has a brother, Douglas, if you didn't know. Got that from Wikipedia.
Doug Pitt.
Doug
Pitt.
Pitt.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, shit.
Mate, okay, I'm telling you now, Wikipedia has been updated by someone having a laugh. Some of your shit may be off.
Wait. Do you know he has won in his time? How many awards do you think he has won in his time?
37.
Take a guess. 37's pretty good, Andy.
38.
53 awards.
Oh,
One closer.
All time, right? Now he has
I
got.
price righted you.
He's got 2 Oscar wins underneath his belt. Can you tell me what he got his Oscars for? Because this was really surprising for me when I looked into it. One of them I knew.
As in, like, what movie, or like as in best actor? Best supporting actor? Is that what you're asking?
Well, okay, so give you the first one. The first one he got for Best Supporting Actor in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Did he get the other one for 12 Years a Slave?
Yes, he did, and I did not know that. He was actually working behind the scenes in 12 Years a Slave, and he stars in the film. So the movie won an Oscar for Best Picture, which obviously he was involved in, which goes onto his belt. You know, he's got 2 BAFTAs underneath his belt. He's got 2 Golden Globes. He's got a hell of a lot of other like lesser known awards. But that's when I was researching it, I'm like, holy fucking shit. Because I remember when I was younger, and I was making my way to school one day, and he had just. We'll look at obviously the films that he's been doing, but I think he'd just done 7. He'd definitely done Interview with a Vampire, so he'd come out and was really well known, good looking, great actor.
Oh, I say he was pretty boy when he was.
Yeah, he was on his way to doing. He was on his way to, or just done 7. I think he was on his way to doing Fight Club. 12 Monkeys. He's been Sleepers, Devil's Own.
God, Sleepers. I forgot about Sleepers.
I remember seeing 7 Years in Tibet was supposed to be coming out, and the joke was like, "Fucking hell, how long is this movie going to be? 7 years?" That was a whole big thing. And I'd go into a little corner shop before going to school and spend your tuck shop money or whatever on sweets before you get to school.
That's right, kids. We're old.
And I kept seeing this DVD on the shelf, with Brad Pitt's face slapped right on it. His first starring role. The movie Dark Side of the Sun, which was his first major lead role in 1988. And the movie wouldn't be released until 10 years later, where they're trying to cash in on obviously his success.
Well, a lot of the film footage I think was lost as well, so it was kind of edited together with what they had.
It still happens though, doesn't it? Because of on your point, it happened with fucking Chris Hemsworth with Cabin in the Woods, right?
Yeah.
When they because they were like, oh my god, Thor's in it. Like, you weren't fucking Thor. You just haven't released it yet.
We just haven't released it.
Don't expect him to be fucking Thor size, like.
And so he started work at the age of 23. He had some roles in 21 Jump Street, just in background, and like I said, he'd had a couple of roles up to that point, but 1988 was his first major lead role. Now, I said to the guys, obviously, if you get the chance for the podcast, it'd be great to watch a film so that we can have a dynamic of like what you would have seen at that time in his career. So I actually purposely went out of my way to watch Dark Side of the Sun. Low budget, made in Yugoslavia, like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like. He must have been paid like $1,500 or what it worked out to for the role.
Scale, probably.
And honestly, mate, like he plays a guy whose skin can be really badly affected by bright light. So he has to spend his whole entire life covered from head to toe. So immediately I'm watching this film, and I never knew this. Like, Wikipedia didn't have it in details. Nobody ever talked about it because nobody ever really watches it. He comes up in the movie right at the beginning in a fucking gimp suit. Head to toe mask. Like, you cannot see, you know it's Brad Pitt because you can hear his voice. But what got me with this movie, and like I said, it's something that struck with me when looking over the back of his career, is that even then he had the confidence to pull off this character.
Yeah.
He was pulling off this character, and so then when I look at things like I said, 12 Monkeys.
With the director dumb enough to cast the best looking man who's ever lived and cover him from head to toe.
Right, in a
Oh,
gimp
right.
suit. Yeah.
Fuck.
Like, there was this great shot as well where he goes and eats tea. He goes and eats his lunch with his dad, and they have to close all the shutters in the window because they're in Yugoslavia, so it was always fucking bright and all that kind of. They shut, and the dad is sat on one side of the table with a light on him, so you can see his face. On the other side is Brad Pitt, but it is just black silhouette. You cannot see him at all, and I'm like, fuck me, you would never do that nowadays with filmmaking. You would never just have a actor just completely blacked out.
He was good in Pulp Fiction as well when they brought him out of that fucking suitcase.
And fucking Bruce Willis fucking punched him in the face.
He got all tied up.
Even though, I mean, that was his first starring role in that one, but
His first lead role.
His first lead role. Sorry, his first lead role. Yeah, I wouldn't say. Well, I mean, he stars, he leads, but yeah, it didn't come out until many years later.
Yeah, many. Yeah.
And I mean, Brad Pitt himself has said that the film that he considers his first sort of breakout role was Thelma and Louise.
Yeah.
He was like, because he had, you know, seasoned actresses. He had Ridley Scott.
Yes.
So he was out of his element. He literally was just like,
Dude,
you know,
that fucking scene where he's got the hairdryer and he's doing his act of when he holds the place up. I remember watching that. I was kid like, this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah. And so it just
Stole
went to
that
show how
fucking
much
server,
charisma
man.
he has already. And so that was when people started to go, who's that? Who's
Yeah.
that? Because not only does he have the
Such a great
charisma to hold
scene.
the screen, you're like, he's pretty.
And
He's
this
fucking with
really
that guy
damn
who's like,
pretty.
I like your wife.
That's what I'm saying. Like
It's like,
going
whoa.
just going from say 1990 to fucking 2000 alone. Those films, like we said, we're kind of looking at a little list
If
now.
you look at the list, he took so many chances.
Massively,
Right?
like.
He went all over the shop.
But at the same time, when you look at his roles and who he's going up against, and yet not only does he not put them into a shadow, but he's able to go up against them. Like we said, Interview with a Vampire. Now, Tom Cruise was fucking on point by that point when he was
Tom
when he
Cruise
was
was
assigned
good.
as Lestat.
Yeah.
But nobody really know who Brad Pitt was. But he's been put face forward. And it's his
To be
story.
fair, Tom Cruise was still on the rise at that point too.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
But he was
at
doing the
time,
heartthrob thing, right? I mean, he'd done Top Gun, he'd done like Legends of the Fall, and
Yeah, but like So I think they were both on the rise there. Maybe Cruise more so at
I
the
think
time.
he was a bit
Yeah,
messy,
yeah.
But yeah, like obviously Ian suggested that we all watch a Brad Pitt movie. I rewatched Interview with a Vampire.
Nice.
Again, that was my pick because it's not just my favorite Brad Pitt movie, it's my favorite Tom Cruise movie. Antonio Banderas is bloody fantastic
Yes,
in it.
yes.
And I forgot her name for a second.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst as well. I think it's her best role ever as well.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore that film.
And that's what I'm saying. I know we made this joke before about stinkers, you know, and like I said, I'll get on to World War Z at some point, but he's still good in it. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is not as good as, say, The Devil's Own or Meet Joe Black or
I
7
like that
Years to
film,
Pet.
man. This
Well,
was a
Mr.
fun
and Mrs.
movie.
Smith.
It's a fun movie.
But
I-
he's
I like that movie.
still good in it. That's what I'm saying. He has not made. I don't. Tell me if I'm wrong, but he has not made a movie where you go, that's his absolute worst movie that he's performing absolutely terribly
I don't
in.
ever see him turn in a bad performance. I will be honest in what
That's
I
it, isn't it?
I've not watched every single one of his movies. but
I
you
wouldn't
know.
say Mr. and Mrs. Smith he put in a bad performance, but I detested everything about that movie.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
movie?
you can.
What,
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, because I didn't realize this, but when that film came out, I already
You were like Team Jennifer. Is that why?
Right. No, like the two of them had already like the media frenzy around
the
the two
media
of them
frenzy, yeah.
was atrocious. Like it was
like Bennifer
the
level.
media was more interested in them two outside of the movie than the movie, but they just used their new Hollywood, romance to push that film, and it's like these two have just got together, and now the two of them are co-starring in this movie where they're these hitmen agents, and the action scenes were ludicrous. Their performances were so phony. It just felt like this is a vanity project that we don't need to really act. We're just gonna just mess around and make millions so that we can go on our honeymoon.
Actually, not too long ago, me and Donna rewatched it because we, when you're doing.
I haven't watched it since it came out, but I hated it.
I'm loving this rant he's doing.
I really
I'm loving
enjoyed
this rant he's doing because that's exactly how I feel towards World War Z. World War Z was fucking thrown together.
Why isn't this good?
And like with Meg and stuff, that it's like nobody even bothered to read the book. But reading in the background of all the press stuff, I read notes that Brad Pitt was actually trying to push more for as close to the book as they could. But
so you tried to slow the zombies down.
Yeah, but the studio's like, no, we can't do that. We need this because this is what people are enjoying. And so the filming did stop at one point.
It stopped at lots of points.
Yeah, because Brad Pitt was like, I'm done. But they needed to finish. Now, one of the movies I do want to bring up because at the same time, it was one of those pinnacle points. I'd never really noticed him, and then I thought, hang on, there's something fucking going on here. This guy is really fucking good. Like I said, we'd gone with Interview with a Vampire. He fucking stole the show in that. He stole the show in Seven. He stole the show in fucking Fight Club, and then boom, Snatch drops. And I could not believe that even he could come along into a Guy Ritchie gangster-based movie and steal the fucking entire show as Mickey.
This is when Guy Ritchie movies were still good.
Yeah.
And they were at their fucking peak.
And
agreed.
He was just so fun because somehow he just
it's peak Guy Ritchie
he
here.
slipped into that role.
So good.
He was able to stand up against Jason Statham and the rest of them, and it was like the rest of them all took something from him because he's a big Hollywood star.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, guys. We're all on the same level, basically.
But I mean, I think it was like after 12 Monkeys, that was the film where I'm just like, this is not Brad Pitt. Like this is a character, like a transformation.
Yeah.
And so then when you see him as Pikey Mike in Snatch, I'm just like, again, like that's Brad Pitt. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like the accent, the mannerisms, like obviously he does a little bit of method stuff. He goes to practice and learn so he can replicate it, and he's just seamlessly in there. And like you said, he does steal the show. Like, you've got Bricktop in there, like absolutely iconic, like the way he delivers his lines. But again, Brad Pitt is the centerpiece for it. Just so different. But again, like I was just been watching Brad Pitt interviews, and he said after the Thelma and Louise thing, he said for him the next major sort of milestone in his career was meeting David Fincher. All of the Fincher films that he's done with him, especially Fight Club. Now, I'll pose the question to you guys in the audience in the chat, in the comments section as well. Like, what do you think is the most iconic Brad Pitt role? And I think it's Tyler Durden. Dude, even today.
That's the film that I watched.
Really? You chose Fight Club?
Dude, Fight Club's my favourite movie of all time.
Oh, fucking hey, dude. It's amazing.
It's like when he was like, we were having a conversation and you were like, look, I mean, you can watch whatever you can watch. I was like, dude, I'm going to watch Fight Club.
Just go and watch Fight Club.
I'm going to watch Fight Club.
I was like, you're not going to watch Legends of the Fall. He's like, I'm watching Fight Club.
I was like, dude, and not because of any other reason, just because, dude, that was like my favourite movie of all time. It is phenomenal. There's the, without jumping across your thing, but it's like, Fight Club for me, I remember watching that. I remember renting that movie from a video store. Google that, kid. To watch and having that was, I think, my first real experience that I can remember of a movie that I watched and went was just enamored with it, was just dazzled by the fucking twist, obviously, spoilers, but then rewatched it 9 fucking times, got fined by the video store for having to bring it back like 2 days later. I was like, that's when I'll pay the extra. Because I couldn't stop rewatching it to see all the clues that tell you. I mean, now you can go online and you can watch a video that tells you like, it's like here's like 10 things in Fight Club we should have seen, and it will be like, when he calls him back on the phone. Yeah. And the scene just the shot, just before it is when the narrator is, Edward Norton is looking at the phone when Brad Pitt's ringing him back. Star 69, you do it, dude. But it says no incoming calls allowed. There's a clear, it's like the whole is yin and yang table, like all these little things. So it was the first time. Oh my god, there's a million Starbucks, all that commentary on consumerism. But it was the first movie that I rewatched at nauseum
just
because
to
I
see
was
all
like,
the layers.
why am I so
every time.
stupid? It was clear, like you know that kind
It's
of
so
thing.
layered.
Man.
That's what makes the rewatches so
Not
good.
to mention that I'm watching it going like, dude, I should do a sit up. Fucking hell, my god, dude.
It was because
it was
Tyler
one of the
Durden
first,
looked so good.
It was one of the first like Hollywood bodies I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that was, you know, like
But
now
he
every
makes the
time.
image.
No, but
It used
every
to piss
time
me
like a
off 'cause he-
Wolverine
but
movie
he
comes
becomes
out, it's
it.
always like that.
Because
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like Brad Pitt has been in such the public eye throughout most of
His
my
marriages,
life.
his films.
Yeah, his marriages, his films, his performances. You know, and like we had a little thing on the Discord a couple of days ago where somebody was just like, "Man, I'm really hoping that nothing bad comes out about him." And I'm like, "Well, if he was going to have done something, we'd have found out about it now." But the fact that for such a long time, you know, I was like, "Man, he's too good looking. He's fucking pissing me off. It's being shoved down my throat. Interview with Vampire, fucking Fight Club, the way he looks, the way he dresses." And then I watch him in another performance, like I've made a list of movies I want to bring up, but one performance I bring up, and this is a big shout out to Nella, because I asked him what his favourite movie was a little while ago, and he said Moneyball, and I'd never seen it. And so I was just like, you know what? I've got it there on Netflix. I'm going to sit down. If I watch it, me and Nella can talk about it. I'll see what it's like. Sat down, watched it, absolutely fucking blown away. Yeah. You know, because there's no action, there's no massive, huge gunfighting. It's all about baseball.
It's a different
dialogue,
it's
dialogue.
ideas
dialogue.
and putting it into practice and seeing it.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, it's Brad Pitt, and I'm not seeing Brad Pitt, the good-looking guy. I'm actually seeing the older, more mature guy who's been through some shit, dealing with his family. There's a sequence where he's driving in his car, and his daughter has given him a CD where she sings a song, and the song just goes over the whole thing. I fucking blubbered.
Aww.
I didn't mean to, but the way that the emotion of the film built up, where she's talking to him like, "Look, we know you're really good at your job and this like that, and you know you have, and you've been backing him and him backing the team and stuff like that." So then when the song played, it was like, that's love. This actress is playing this daughter who loves her father, being played by Brad Pitt. The fact it's all based on real people as well.
Yeah,
I'm
true
like,
story. Yeah.
And this is so fucking great.
I would also say, just to carry on with that as a recommendation, because I imagine Moneyball is one of those films that not many people would watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, both fantastic in it. The story's really good. It's a true story, and it's absolutely worth a watch. And it's one of those that most people would be like, I'm not really interested in that.
Yeah, it's Brad Pitt.
Put it on for 5 minutes. You'll watch it to the end. I
fucking love
promise.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I made a list of. I was going to make a top 5 list, and then I was like, no, I'm going to make 10. And I tried to not pick too many of my own favourites and just go with kind of randoms off his list so that we could discuss them. Now, obviously, we've already discussed how fucking good Fight Club is. I don't think we need to go over it again.
It's one of the ones we actually reviewed.
Stop this podcast and watch Fight Club right now.
I've already got Snatch on here. Snatch is really, really fucking good. Moneyball's fucking really, really good. Interview with a Vampire. I mean, him and
His
Tom
name was
Cruise
Robert Paulson.
Robert Paulson.
What?
And now I've got to shout out, because Linda wanted me to put on the list, his performance in The Lost City.
Oh, the one with Channing Tatum.
With Channing Tatum and Sandra
we watched
Bullock.
that recently. That was fun.
I've not seen it yet.
It's fun. It's dumb fun.
Yeah,
but
it's dumb fun. Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock. Like, it's kind of like Romance in the Stone, where she's like a novelist or something.
Do you know what, dude?
And he's the character.
We watched it, and then I sat with Jen. I was like, "You need to watch it," and we watched Romances or Julia and I. We watched one of them. It's just, I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
well, Brad Pitt turns up in the movie, and he's actually the action star. You know, he can do all of the adventurous stuff. And Linda said, look, you know, he's just absolutely, he steals the show when he turns up. The two of them have been corny goofiness up to that point.
Parkour's the whole jungle, just funny as fuck.
And because of that's what when she said about The Lost City, I thought, man, what other good comedies has he done? I fucking love Megamind.
He's a voice in that one.
I love you, random citizen. Brilliant.
And that put me on a tangent of.
I was going to say, for comedy, I was going to mention the Coen Brothers one, Burn After Reading.
I've got that on my list as well.
Because that's another
like, I fucking
because he's the most
stupid,
most stupid, but most like normal person.
Yeah,
of all of his movies, I'm like, he's like someone you would have in the office.
And then when that thing happens to him, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they just did that to Brad Pitt. It's just like, I mean, I fucking loved that. I loved him in Megamind.
Yeah,
and it then when I was writing Megamind, it then dawned on me like. So we're looking at 94, 95, 96, 97, right? Those 4 years alone, we had Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
And yet, Brad Pitt has never taken up a superhero role with all of the movies that have been going on throughout his whole career.
This Batman movie. Like Morgan Freeman's Batman, he's Robin. Think it's seriously, dude.
No, the whole film under a new light.
More like Brad Pitt's fucking rookie Gordon coming up through the ranks dealing with.
Still Batman movie, then.
Where are you? But what I mean is, like, they went with Val Kilmer. Why didn't they go with Brad Pitt? They went with George Clooney. Why didn't they go with
Probably
Brad
an
Pitt?
age thing at that point, wasn't it? Surely.
I don't know, because he's like George Clooney. I think he's older.
George Clooney is older
Yeah,
than
no,
Brad
that's what I'm
Pitt.
saying. As in, Brad Pitt would be too young at that
But Brad
point,
Pitt,
wouldn't
Maybe?
But
No, I
weirdly
think
enough, weirdly enough, it's not until like Ocean's 11 when the two of them would work together.
he? I mean, that was bromance-tastic.
Totally
Loved
Now-
it.
And yeah, you look at like I said, you look at Batman and Robin, and you're thinking the film was utter shit. Did they approach him and he just went no because he didn't want to be attached to those type of things?
Yeah, Brad Pitt has explained that he's been quite selective and lucky with the project, because he sees the project, he has tons of scripts come to him, and he's selective with who he wants to work with,
Yeah.
and what story he wants to try to interpret or tell. So
Can you imagine that? Because it's Brad Pitt. When you say like he has a lot of scripts come to him, like I assume he has all the scripts.
yeah, right.
It's like,
It's like, we
get
need
this
a
to
bit.
Brad Pitt. Get this to Brad Pitt.
You know what I mean?
Get
Like
this to Brad
fucking
Pitt.
can he just who wouldn't? If someone was like Brad Pitt wants to be in your movie, I'm like, dude, I will kick my mother in the face to put Brad Pitt in my movie.
I
Like,
mean,
he wouldn't.
Like, just started to conclude what I was saying there. What surprised me was when putting this segment of the podcast together as well, like I just wanted to list all of his movies.
Yeah.
And the thing that I realized is like some actors, you see them all the time. They've got 2 or 3 movies out a year or more. But Brad Pitt literally only has like 1 film this year, 2 films this year, no films that year.
Yeah.
So it just looks like he's been very selective. But then when you see all of his films together, you're like, there's no bad ones.
That's it.
They're all
No.
interesting projects, or they're all very good films.
See, one movie that came out that I was so very surprised, not only did that he was in it, and not only that it was great, and that I really fucking enjoyed it, and it's so unique. Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah, again, David Fincher. Yeah.
How the fuck does
Shouldn't work.
somebody
Shouldn't work
come
as a
to him
movie.
and say like, you're gonna de-age, so by the end of the movie you'll be a baby, and
Yeah.
Brad Pitt goes okay. But like I said, by watching all of these films, the confidence he brings to his role,
You don't
the
know
way
what this
he
means, but we're
carries
going to
it,
Voldemort you.
you know, has there ever been a segment like in the news where you've heard that Brad Pitt has gone angry, walked off set, stormed off, done a Tom Cruise, done a Christian Bale, where he's
Do you know
where it's gotten too
story
much
is my
for him?
favourite that I have heard, which isn't quite that,
Right.
but there is that famous story about because of the Harvey Weinstein shit that came out.
Oh, with
And
Gwyneth
apparently
Paltrow.
he made it like obviously when they were together, and he made like an advance towards her, and he was literally like, "I'm gonna smash your teeth down your
Yeah,
throat."
he's-
And I was like, "Wow, I didn't think I could love you more."
Yeah,
Here
yeah.
we go.
I mean, like I said, I asked Linda for 3 major movies to talk about, and like I said, she the first one she said was Benjamin Button, which I was just, so great. Like how he establishes not only the character, but the life that this character is going through. Like I said, harkens back to Dark Side of the Sun of he's able just to emote to you through his eyes and his face about what his character's going through.
It's hard. There's only certain actors that are good at playing characters with conditions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And weirdly enough, the second one she brought up, Meet Joe Black. You like if you've not seen the movie,
Son, when
that-
he bounces
that
off
car
those
crash.
cars
Oh my
at the
God.
start.
it's so great.
That film and that shot
Holy shit.
has forever. It's the setup, that camera angle. But whenever you see that shot in film, you're
Samuel
like,
L. Jackson's about to get eaten by a shark.
it's that shot. It's like the camera's usually like mid to close, but the moment the camera goes across the street, you're like,
Look, you're fucked.
you're getting hit by that car. Which way's it coming?
Yeah.
It's and so it's
man.
that shot.
I love and once again, weirdly enough, like it was. I think it's Legends of the Fall. It's him and Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, the second time they were together.
And so,
Yeah.
then again, when you come in to Meet Joe Black, it's Anthony Hopkins and Brad Pitt. And how the fuck does he manage to go toe to toe with fucking Hannibal Lecter? How is it? what is it that he brings when he sits down with the actors before they turn the camera on? Does he get friendly with them and things like that, so they're comfortable with each other?
Charismatic as fuck. Is
Exactly.
What,
Just wanna, that actually is a good tangent to go into what I wanted to talk about with Interview with the Vampire. Was that because obviously I watched the film, I didn't really know much behind the scenes on it, so I was like, I just want to just dig into it, find out what it was like to be in that film and be the rising stars at the time. And of course Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise have never been in a movie together since.
Yeah.
And I found out why.
Okay.
That Brad Pitt had a really hard time making any kind of human connection with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Said that it was he said it was professional, but he couldn't get a rapport with him. He couldn't, get any.
He had to wait to meet Clooney to get his bromance.
Right? Yeah. But no, according to Antonio Banderas, like him and Brad Pitt got on really well, and they talked about like the Hollywood system and about how the vampires that they're playing are kind of like the actors that they are in Hollywood, and so they kind of got on that way. But yeah, he had. Brad Pitt had a meltdown making Interview with the Vampire, and he didn't like the fact that when he signed on to make the film, the script that he was given, he loved. 2 weeks before the cameras rolled, he was given the script they were going to shoot, and he was like, "Where's this scene gone? Where's my dialogue gone? How come Tom Cruise has all these lines, has all these scenes, and my character just sits there and mopes and does this?" And so
narrates,
and so his character was just like, everyone else is doing stuff in this film except me. And that started to weigh on him. Plus, didn't like the contact lenses. He didn't like the fact that for 5 or 6 months of shooting it, he didn't see daylight once. So it was affecting his mood, it was affecting his personality, and enough was enough, and he quit the project. And he called up his producer and went, "I need to leave this film, I cannot finish it, what do we do?" And the producer went, "Well, you pay the studio $40 million. And so he went, "Oh,
I'll finish the film."
I guess I'm finishing the film then.
And he's like, "This is 1994 Brad Pitt, not 2004 Brad Pitt."
Right. Who would have just went, "Yeah, there's the money on
I
that."
don't have that money.
But that's the beautiful thing as well, because in fairness, like, I know Tom Cruise is in Interview with a Vampire, but I've always considered it a Brad Pitt movie. Because he's in 70% of it.
He is.
It's so weird. Have you read the books?
No. But I know Lestat.
I'm gonna piss a load of people off. They're not good.
Lestat is like the main guy, but
that's
Louis
what I'm saying. It's
steals it.
weird that like
Tom Cruise steals it.
I think
Lestat is the movie.
No, I agree, but I think you think that because Brad Pitt narrates it, and I think that is the compromise.
But it's
where it's
Louis,
like, we're gonna cut a load of your shit. But we're gonna let you tell the story.
Well, that's it. That's what I like.
So it is technically Louis' story.
It is, and he's your journey. Point of view through the film,
but it's really Lestat's story.
Yeah,
but I also love it once he gets taken out of the film, and it's now
the journey to France.
Off to eat alligators.
Yeah, well, the journey of Brad Pitt and Kirsten Dunst, and them trying to build up their family. You have the whole incidents with Antonio Banderas. Them being killed off. I don't need Lestat. The fact that when the sequel came out, everyone was like, "Yay, Lestat's back!" I was like, "Oh, fuck off." I don't care.
Oh,
I want
Queen
more
of the
Louis.
Yeah.
I want more Louis. Now, one of the movies that I was.
So I just want to conclude by saying I think everybody outshines Brad Pitt in Interview with the Vampire. Everybody outshines him.
Right.
But it's because he is so melancholy and so dour and so miserable and so I don't want to kill people, but it's my instincts now, I have to kill people. And whereas Lestat's just relishing in it and having fun with it and dancing with corpses, like it's so larger than life.
It's weird though, the stuff that they cut from the book for Lestat.
True.
Like the stuff with his dad, especially.
Yeah.
If you've read the books, like he spends so much time nursing his dying father in the books and stuff, and
Aye.
But that would fit in with Louis in the film, I suppose.
But I think it's Brad Pitt's humanity that keeps shining through. Like it's the longing in his eyes for humanity and life that he wants to cherish, but has to accept his nature, and the way that he is so subdued and so he is your POV character for the audience watching it. He is literally the glue that holds all the crazy together. So succinctly that like you might not even be aware of how good he is because he is being outshined, but he's enabling them to do so because he keeps it grounded so well. So I really think it all works because of Brad Pitt, even though like fucking Tom Cruise is like, in my opinion, one of the best vampires in cinema. And it's a travesty that obviously, like, he wouldn't come back for Queen of the Damned.
I mean,
but it's such a shame.
one film I was really surprised. Like when it first came out, I didn't want to watch it because, like, I didn't know at that point I was such a fanboy of fucking Brad Pitt. But after I watched it, I saw the problems that were in it, but I couldn't help but keep going back and watching it. And the movie is Troy from 2004.
Yeah.
You know, I
Was
know
it Oliver Stone that directed that one?
possibly.
remember.
I thought it was Scott. It's not Scott, is it?
It's not Ridley Scott.
It's not Ridley Scott.
Oh fuck.
I can
Maybe-
wiki. I'll go wiki.
Of
course you have.
The film directed by Wolfgang Peterson
Wolfgang
and
Peterson,
written by
okay.
David Benioff. Now I know it's got some problems, and I know there's some historical accuracies all over the place. But once
Fucking
again,
understatement.
Mr. Adonis,
Condensed it down to a fucking week or
Mr.
whatever.
Brad Pitt is playing Achilles.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
it
know,
was
one of
amazing.
the most invincible fucking heroes of Greek mythology and all that kind of stuff. We're seeing the siege of Troy, you know, and
Mate, rattle that cast off. Brendan
Yeah, I was
fucking
going to say it was
Gleeson,
Legolas. What's he called?
fucking
Orlando Bloom,
Eric Bana,
Eric
Orlando
Bana,
Bloom,
who plays Agamemnon again? Fucking Brian Cox.
Yeah, Brad Pitt,
fucking-
Eric Bana, Orlando Bloom, Diane Kruger, Brian Cox, Sean Bean, Brendan Gleeson,
Sean Bean,
Peter
yeah.
O'Toole,
Peter
Garrett
O'Toole, thank
Hedlund.
you. Plays the
You
king
know,
of fucking Troy.
Yeah, and you look once again.
You like what? Just watching it, you're like, money was spent.
Once again,
Yeah.
you're thinking because I think it's also I'm trying to find him. I'm pretty sure he's on the list.
Nathan Jones.
Yeah, Nathan Jones is in it. But the that's right. We already said Brian Cox. You know, Brian Cox is so fucking good, and yet Brad Pitt brings along this cocky kind of egotistical character, which for a long time I used to think was him in real life because I'd seen people like Tom Cruise and fucking all these other
if I
actors.
looked like Brad Pitt, I'd be a prick.
He is a walking prick. So
Yes.
many women just go, Brad Pitt, man. But
he had so many affairs with so many women.
He's also brings something to that character that makes it so much more realistic. Like he has that fight sequence with Nathan Jones, and it's build up to it's the guy's dead. I'm
It's a
like,
great shot. Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
that
that's
fight with Eric Bana.
Eric Banner
Yeah.
at the front.
Is-
Oh my
it's
god,
brutal.
it's so
You're so
fucking
rooted
brutal.
for Eric
drags,
Bana,
it puts him on the back of his fucking and just fucks him off.
And then
like,
when you
know.
get to the end, and he's actually,
Going to
he's
take the
actually
siege of
changing
Troy with
his
30
mind.
men.
He's
Yeah.
changing his mind about what they're doing might not actually be the right thing. And then Orlando Bloom fucking nails him in the ankle with the arrow, and you're fucking screaming like, "No, you've hated him for 3 quarters
that's
of
where
the
that's
fucking
from."
movie." and then he gets killed off, and you're like, "Oh fuck, it's so good." Like I said, Troy I thought was so good. I really need to see it. I wanted to go see him fucking Killing Them Softly.
I've not seen that.
No.
No, it's the Hitman movie. But once again, like I said, I've been watching quite a bit of Brad Pitt at the moment, and I'm like, this guy can't do no wrong. Inglourious Bastards. It's
Love that
so
movie.
Yeah.
fucking
Love
good.
that movie.
But to
That
also,
is absolutely one of his top few characters that he's played.
yeah, and weirdly enough, he doesn't do half of the gory shit that happens actually in the movie. Like, you know, like the baseball sequence, that's not him, that's Eli Roth.
What-
The
Yeah.
fucking bar sequence is fucking Michael
Dude.
Fassbender.
Fucking what's his name? Steals it, doesn't he?
Oh, fucking Christoph Waltz.
Thank you, Christoph
Christoph
Waltz. Steals that
fucking
movie. That's
steals
his
the fucking
movie.
True.
You know, for a pure dialogue film. Although I will give Fassbender the credit for that bar scene.
That
is-
bar scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking
It's an
sex
hour-long
for the
scene.
ears.
Yes.
Like, it's just incredible.
I mean,
But, dude, that speech that he gives, you know,
Yeah.
where he's like, you know,
I
I want
want
8
my-
men and fucking, you know, we're going to take on this
I want my
many
scalps.
Nazis.
I
I
want
want
my
my scalps.
scalps.
Like
Yeah,
that.
man, you wanna
But
step
then
forward?
that interaction he has with Christoph Waltz at the end where he talks about like how he sold off all of his, you know, other sort of like officers and stuff to gain freedom, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know, are you going to take that uniform off? And he's like, yeah,
Yeah,
we like to
yeah,
identify our
yeah.
Nazis, and he starts
Yeah.
cutting the swastika into his head.
Fucking
And then he's
absolutely
looking
loved
down the
it.
chamber, and he's like, I think might be my masterpiece. And I'm like, oh my god, Tarantino was like, yeah. That's such a like great line. It was brilliant.
So I've got a couple of things. Obviously, I just want to actually ask to you about. Obviously, like we'll do this with actors and actresses again with points, but like impacting on you personally. Like, do you actively go out of your way to watch Brad Pitt movies? Has that built up over time? You know, or do you see the title and then see him in it and go,
No,
actually...
listen, I mean, I watched Bullet Train because I was like,
that
I
was
like Brad
the
Pitt,
only Brad Pitt movie that I've chosen to watch because Brad Pitt's in it. Almost all the other films I'd already heard word of mouth, or it was an adaptation of a good book, or it was he's working with, Fincher, or he's working with Tarantino. So I'm like, I watch every Tarantino movie. I watch every David Fincher movie. So the fact that Brad Pitt keeps turning up with them, I'm like, so I tend to watch those Brad Pitt films more because of the director.
Yeah.
Until recently, where Bullet Train being the first one now, where I'm like, I like Brad Pitt. I've got to say, I'm like, I like him in all the films I've seen him in.
Yeah.
And Bullet Train was, there was also a small drought of films at the time that I wasn't interested in. So I was like, I'll watch Bullet Train.
Dude, it looked
pleasantly
like fun.
surprised
That's why
by
I
it.
watched it.
Yeah,
the ironic thing
it's getting a sequel.
But
It's
as
getting a
much as
sequel.
I really enjoyed him in it, I mean, that was it. Aaron Taylor Johnson
Stole
that movie.
Yeah, he did.
Like,
He absolutely
there's
did.
no fucking messing about.
Yeah.
That was the
Which is going to
Kick-Ass
do him well
actor
because it looks like Craven's going to suck.
who doesn't look anything like he did in Kick-Ass anymore. So, but in terms of Brad Pitt having anything to do, any meaning to me was not particularly.
No.
Of course, like when Interview with the Vampire came out, that's the reason why I still watched it. Was huge into Gothic literature and art and vampires and that mythology and all that kind of stuff. And so like Louis and Lestat as portrayed in that film are just iconic. Like for me, it's one of the best vampire films ever made. I can't wait for us to eventually review it on the channel.
I personally can't wait to see the ridiculously obvious transition where Brad Pitt does the same career trajectory as Clint Eastwood and potentially turns into like one of our most beloved directors. Maybe
he's already
He's got
producing.
all that experience.
That's what I'm saying.
He's got a long list of.
He's producing Beetlejuice 2 right now.
Actors sit behind great directors, watch what they do, then they start producing stuff and writing stuff, and then they just start directing stuff. And this is what you can see it.
He's always worked, and like I said, he's been doing this since 1987. He's been working as much as he can, learning his craft. He was trying to force lines in a movie where they didn't want him to force lines, but I bet you if he put a line in, it would have made that movie just a little bit better because Brad Pitt's in it. A movie like Bullet Train. Here's another question, actually. Take any movie that Brad Pitt's done, right? Off the top of your head, think of it. Now, take him out and put another actor in and tell me if that movie's going to just be as good.
Well, I mean, where he's leading
Interview with Vampire, I don't think anybody would have been able to do his role as Louis up against Tom Cruise. Even something like Moneyball, like Jonah Hill's in that. Who could have gone up with Jonah Hill, but kept kind of Jonah Hill in place? Him and Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, because I think that Moneyball was kind of Jonah Hill's like. That was a big step up for him.
Yeah.
To be an actual actor without being he'd done Superbad and all the,
And it comes across from when he was sitting there next to Brad Pitt. It's like, oh my God, Brad Pitt's the big star. But it's like, Brad Pitt saying to Jonah, like, no, we're just two guys. I need your information to throw at me. You need to deliver your lines. And so Jonah Hill hits all those notes. It's the same, like I said, with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Him and Leonardo DiCaprio working against each other. I was thinking about it this week. The two of them have pretty much had a kind of similar career where they're both young, pretty boys.
DiCaprio started a little bit later with Romeo and Juliet and Titanic.
But he was younger because he was in Critters 3, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he was actually came later, but working younger. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? The Basketball Diaries. These are all massive, huge roles, and then all of a sudden, like, you put them both in a film together.
Yeah.
And they
work. You want to see more of those two in films together.
Yeah.
Perfect storm, though, isn't it? As well, when they come together as well. It's about they both came together playing the right roles at the right age.
Yeah, and of course under Tarantino as well. So it just
Now,
do it better. Fucking push him back out there.
What roles would you say you would like to see him do in the future? Knowing all the stuff that he's done to this point, is there a film or a role that you think, actually, I think that would be good? Like Gary and I were discussing it a couple of days ago. We'd like to actually see him as a proper villain.
He doesn't do very many villain roles, if any. He does roguish type characters very well, like Tyler Durden. He kind of is the villain of the film, but like you kind of, in awe of him at the same time.
Yeah. So I'd like to maybe see him as like a gang boss. You know,
You want to see him like ruthless?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, like, but not too much. Like maybe have a John Wick kind of thing where an assassin's being hired and they're being hired by Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt's like, I'm gonna kill your family and all that kind of shit. You know, really make you hate him. That's my problem at the moment. I like him so much, I need to hate him. You know, because I need that balance, that comparison. We've done it with Tom Cruise. You know, I like Tom Cruise of all of his movies. Then all of a sudden he comes along with Collateral, and I'm like, oh, you're a dick. I fucking like you being a dick.
Yeah, I honestly struggle to answer with like what type of film I'd like to see Brad Pitt in, because I've never really thought about it. What I like is that he continues to surprise me with the roles that he's taken. Like, isn't he doing the Formula One?
Yes,
racing one at the moment. So yeah, he keeps switching. I mean, he does mostly dramas, but like the settings are always quite unique. I guess there's one genre I don't think I can name one. I mean, Benjamin Button's kind of, but he hasn't really done sci-fi.
Ad Astra.
Ad Astra.
Ad Astra. Yeah, take it back. Let's take it back. Okay, I want sci-fi
Monkeys.
fantasy. He hasn't really done.
12 Monkeys?
Yeah, okay, so he has done.
Has he done everything yet?
I want to see him in Star Trek.
Oh, he'd be great in Star Trek. Maybe Brad Pitt should do the Inner Space remake, and he should be Dennis Quaid.
Fucking yes.
That'll
work. I mean, Inner Space doesn't need remaking, but I'd take it.
I would easily take Brad Pitt. If they said we're remaking this film, I don't want to see a remake. It stars Brad Pitt. Okay.
I'll take it. Okay, but who does he get injected into? Sam Rockwell.
No, it's got to be a younger guy.
True.
Like cover Martin Short, isn't it? Like,
oh, okay.
Kevin Hart. Jonah Hill. He gets injected into Jonah Hill.
That'll work.
Jonah Hill puts up all these boundaries, telling him that he can't do these certain things. So I don't know how long we've been going for, but I mean, if it's cool wrap up time, I think I'll just wrap up because we've been chatting about Brad Pitt for so long. I'm really glad that obviously we were able to have this really nice discussion because, like I said, we're in our 40s now. We've been watching films for practically 30 years, 40 years, you know, and I know that there's many actors out there that we could name and we could talk about for an hour and stuff like that. The fact that to start it with Brad Pitt, you know, remembering that back when I was a kid, he was this pretty boy fucking actor that I just wanted to keep punching my TV every time I saw him on because I was just...
He's too pretty.
Too pretty. Why do everybody love him?
Why do I have to feel
Why
so
is he got all
fucking
these
ugly
good
all the
roles? But then the funny thing is, as I've watched him, as I've grown and I've matured and I've become a parent myself, you know, and I've seen him, he's not done anything majorly bad. You know, I can shit on World War Z as much as I want, but I can't shit on him. He's still kind of carrying that movie. The same thing with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah, the movie might be dreck, but he's still kind of doing what he does. His charisma carries his character, carries the role in, so that even on your worst day, you can put a Brad Pitt movie on and go, you know what, that's kind of perked me up a little bit. It's made me, even like you said, with Louis. Louis is the most negative, downtrodden, fucking miserable bastard throughout that whole movie. Yet it makes you want to be a vampire. It makes you want to be a vampire.
Still, yeah.
You really didn't pay attention to the message, did you?
No, I'm like...
You didn't take home shit from that movie. You're like, this is awful.
No, I mean, he was more charismatic than fucking Kiefer. I was just
Sleep
like,
all
I'd let
day,
him
party
than
all night.
Kiefer. But yeah, no, I'm so thankful that obviously everybody allowed me to rattle on about Brad Pitt. And if you have not seen half of the movies on this list, I implore you to go out there, just take something off the shelf. See what I did there? You know, and put it on, and I bet you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. Andy, you want anything to close on?
No, I agree. Like I said, I think he is one of those actors where it's like I couldn't really pull a bad performance out of the air on anything that I've seen him in, and he's and also for us, he's been kind of in my like movie going life. He's been pretty much constant because that's
A constant, yeah.
you know,
Constant,
sort of
yeah.
like coming up through it and seeing him play the different character. He's in my favorite movie. He absolutely goes on my Mount Rushmore of fucking actors as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and he's not mired in controversy or anything else.
Not yet.
Knock on
Touch
wood.
wood. Oh
Touch
God,
wood.
please don't. Yeah, he seems to be like a guy who just enjoys his craft, and that's fucking all you can ask for. Like a lot of the time, we talk about actors that are he never seems to sort of phone it in. He always seems, like you said, and a lot of it is to do with picking the stuff you want to do.
Yeah.
That's one thing I would say is like the only one I can probably think of is The Oceans, where he's never been really tied to a franchise.
Yeah.
So Oceans 11, 12, and that, but obviously you can see him and like Clooney and Matt Damon are all like, let's just have fun.
It's
It's the boys hanging out.
Yeah.
It was classified as like the new Rat Pack, wasn't it?
Sure,
that kind of classical acting thing.
Yeah.
But like, I just think he's been really smart, where he's never like gone into anything. You know, when like, I mean, Daniel Craig is like the perfect example of like, where he's like, I'm gonna be Bond, and after one movie he was like, fuck being Bond, and they're like, guess what?
You're
going to do it 3-4 more fucking times,
yeah.
bitch. And you could just tell that he just didn't enjoy doing it. You know, I've never seen that out of him. So yeah, he's absolutely one of the fucking top actors of all time.
Awesome. Yeah, well said. Well, on that note, that will conclude the second part of the podcast. We're going to take a small break, but when we come back,
we're going to watch Fight Club.
And interview with
no one talk about it.
Yeah.
Well said. And welcome back to the third part of the podcast, where we will be answering your questions.
Yes.
Alrighty, so let's quickly scan to the questions. Our first question is from Natalie Holbert.
What up,
What up,
Natalie?
Good evening. Hope you are well. I think I may have outdone myself this time with the randomness of my question.
This girl brings it every month.
So,
Yeah.
you now have to live somewhere unpleasant for a while.
We do. It's called Plymouth.
A whole month. Do you pick a month in the bog of eternal stench from Labyrinth, or a week in the shirt of a pocket of a sweaty giant? In all fairness, the giant is a stand-up guy. He just plays a little loose with his hygiene routine. He's also vegan and has no taste for long pig. So, what do you choose?
I mean, at least it's not that fucking hostel I stayed in.
Yeah. See, I would go with the bog of eternal stench.
Same.
Because you know that you won't unless you step into the bog.
You'll smell forever.
But while you're still on the land, you're fine.
Do you know what's funny? I was going to say Bog of Eternal Stench, but because I was just like, fuck living with a vegan.
Yeah, well that's it. Like, if you're sat in the shirt pocket of a
I'll be like, me and you ain't going to get on.
Like, yeah, it's just like, what is he feeding you? Do you go toilet in there? You know, like
you live in the pocket. Does he not let you out every so often to do business?
She doesn't say that.
But if you're in the Bog of Eternal Stench, you're like, hey, where do I pee? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I'll just anywhere, you know.
Wherever I want.
The only problem is,
I'm taking the pocket of a giant because after a month it's over. Like I just get like it's over. But like if I'm in that Bog of Eternal Stench, I know I'm gonna have an accident. I'm gonna be clumsy, and I'm gonna stink forever.
She does say shirt pocket as well. I was about to say, wait, which pocket?
Yeah, shirt pocket.
Riding on the back of a dog, mate.
Oh, Ambrosius? Yeah, that'd be amazing. Stopping people from crossing the bridge.
From the bridge, yeah.
Just backing him up. Backing Sir Didymus up.
Yeah.
You'll be like that fucking dude. You'll be like the dude in Coming to America, and Sir Didymus is like, no one can pass without my permission. And I'm sat there and be like, yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're all taking the bog.
Gary's living in a fucking pocket.
I'm taking the pocket of a giant.
Taking the pocket of a giant.
Fucking great question.
Cheers, Natalie. Next question is from George Smith.
What up, George?
Knowing how much of a music fan you guys are, the day any music lover fears is the day their favourite band disbands. What band breakup hit you the hardest?
Oh, it's obviously it had to be Spice Girls. That was just fucking heartbreaking. It's just as soon as the Spice Girls were... Now, I'm not the biggest music person. Like, films have always been my thing. But... always been a fan of Limp Bizkit, and then when they said that they weren't disbanding, but the guitarist Wes Borland was leaving, which I thought would have a negative effect because obviously he was pretty much the lead guitarist for a lot of their music. But in fairness, the band actually still managed to continue, and then he came back because his projects didn't do very well. So band.
It's because he toured with Marilyn Manson. Was like, fuck this shit. I think is the main reason. Yeah.
What are you guys thinking? Bands this
the interesting thing is for me personally, the ironic one is kind of like when Rage broke up. When Rage Against the Machine broke up, that one I was like, fuck. But then also we had like when and again I will say like when Soundgarden broke up, like Chris Cornell, but then we got Audio Slave out of it, which was like, you know, Chris Cornell.
Sure, yeah.
So we get like, so there's been a few we get the super bands. I would say Rage. I mean, like, because that's for me personally. Like, to answer the question, I've got to say, like, over history, the biggest ones have got, like, the Beatles has got to be the biggest fucking band breaker of all time, right?
Yeah, but
Well,
I wasn't
obviously
there for that
before.
one.
No, but that's what I mean. I'm saying, like, for me personally, I'd say Rage Against the Machine, but yeah, when the Beatles broke up, I mean, it's kind, you know, you could, I'm sure, like, at the time, even though I'm a huge fan of Metallica, I wasn't into it when, like, say, Dave Mustaine left.
Yeah.
But again, he formed Megadeth, so it's like, who gives a fuck? Like,
Yeah,
we got
that's it.
Megadeth out of it, you know?
That's it. I can't think of any big major bands that have actually disbanded that I was actually affected by.
The worst one, sorry, but like, not so much disband, but I mean, obviously, like, when Chester Bennington died, which obviously took that away from Linkin Park, that fucking hit me like a Mack truck. But that's not quite disbanding, obviously, like you said, you know.
There was a time when obviously I was a huge fan of Korn, and then they hit a point where they were just like, we've hit it too hard, like we need to take stock of our lives and ourselves and you know, the lifestyle we've lived, and so we're going on hiatus. Some of the members are going on retreats to cleanse themselves and stuff, and then they came back and it was dubstep and Skrillex and stuff, and I was just like, what the happened to this band?
Dubstep's for pussies.
But yeah, I love music, but when a band splits and breaks up, it's never affected me at all, really. I'm just kind of like, it happens for reasons, you know. It's like, you know, it's almost like, you know, when you're like, when TV shows, when they reach that final season and the band breaks up, goes their separate ways, you know. It's kind of like, I'm more impacted by that when you see that ensemble cast that worked so well all go off then into different directions.
When DX broke up.
Oh man, when he turned on X-Pac at WrestleMania, it was so real.
It was just like when the puppy tried to prick.
Pink Floyd, nice, yeah.
Fleetwood Mac as well,
Fleetwood Mac's a good one, but again, I wasn't there. You know, but you're right.
Great question though, thank you,
question,
George.
Man.
Next question is from Havard Ryan.
What up, Havard?
What is your favourite good-bad movie duo? He's listed RoboCop 87,
That's a good
RoboCop
example.
14, Judge Dredd 95, Dredd 2009, Total Recall 1990, Total Recall 2012. Looking forward to your answers and keep up the great work.
Do you know,
T2, Dark Fate. We're gonna just go there.
Okay, T2. I don't actually mind Total Recall the remake. I know it's got nothing in comparison to the original, but Colin Farrell, he'll be another talking point at some point on the podcast of like roles that he could do.
I'll sit here for 90 minutes to talk about fucking killing of a sacred deer, because that movie was
I wanted to hate Total Recall, but then I'm watching it, I'm like, you know what, Colin Farrell's keeping me invested on this role. Same with Dredd. I love both those Dredd movies. You know, both those
different
Dredd movies
reasons.
are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But my pick, I was thinking all week for it, and then I saw something on my shelf, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go with that. The animated Lord of the Rings movie, and then the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I suppose. I mean, good, bad, it depends on where your angle is, but I've really loved both of them.
I really don't have an answer. I don't have a good bad movie duo like that I would just watch.
So are we saying as well, like, so you have to like both of them?
Because the question
Or-
with his answers, like, you know, reform the question because he's
Because like I
chosen
said, I would say like,
original
if
and
you were
remake,
taking
original
like
and remake.
within the same sort of like franchise, which one's good and which one's bad, which is why I'd go T2 and fucking Dark Fate.
Exactly.
Easy.
Yeah, it's a great
if
answer.
If it was like two that were like they're both good and you are, but it's not. It's saying bad, so it must be that. Yeah,
good,
yeah.
bad,
So I really struggle to have
all
an
right,
answer.
so yeah, I'm gonna. Richie's come in with a fucking hardcore like
Halloween
Halloween.
and
Surely
Halloween.
slots in there.
Yeah.
Halloween and Halloween ends.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Or
yeah.
the Thing and Thing prequel.
To an extent, yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jaws and Jaws 3.
Game of Thrones season 1.
Game of
Game of
Thrones
Thrones
season
2.
Yeah. Thank you for the question, though. I really appreciate that.
Great question.
Next question is from David Allen Evans.
What up, David?
How do you, gents? Having just watched Dial of Destiny, I wonder why every Legacy sequel in the last 10 years or so insists on telling us the characters we like have been miserable during the long interim between movies.
Yeah.
I understand characters need an arc, and Harrison Ford was great in Indy 5, but surely there's something to coax these characters back besides escape from the misery. Right?
Do you know what? Sorry, I'm going to jump on this because you're absolutely right, and this drives me fucking nuts. Okay, we're going to use the same example we just did of T2 and Dark Fate.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, I hate sequels that negate the previous movie. So now, if you follow it chronologically, if you watch T2, all the like peril that John Connor's in and the amazing lengths they go to keep him safe is like, doesn't fucking matter. He's gonna get killed in a fucking beach bar. You know, so it's worthless, right? It's worthless, right? So a great example of this is I just rewatched Dark Knight Rises.
Oh,
now I love the Christopher Nolan trilogy. I'm not trying to shout Nolan. Don't come after me, internet. However, the idea that, you know, Bruce Wayne as a character, you know, sees his parents fucking shot, decides I'm going to dedicate the next 18 years of my life to being a crime fighter, I'm going to adopt the mantle of the Bat, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to destroy organised crime. And then at the end, because we're told, you know, the when he, you know, killed Harvey Dent was the last time we saw the Bat and everything like that. Then you shoot forward 8 years, I think it is, in Dark Knight Rises, and the fucker is just limping round, like, you know, in
braces,
in his fucking, you know, thing, really miserable because his missus died. I was like, well, fuck, dude. I mean, why? I mean, like, surely that would have made you double your resolve and like continue your crime fighting, you know, ways and stuff.
As is Batman in almost every other form of media.
So to me, I was like, why did he have to? So he's just been. You're telling me that he's just been moping around for 8
to give him an arc for this
years?
movie. Yeah.
And like, it's, you know, it's gonna take what to bring him out of fucking retirement? So I don't understand why that is. Indy, it might just be a case of that's Harrison Ford's face.
Ford. But I mean, they even did it with Ghostbusters Afterlife. They just went, look how bloody miserable and depressed and everything became for them afterwards. Yeah.
I suppose
it's like Star Wars is one of the most egregious examples of this. With what they did with all of the legacy characters, like, you know.
But it's
I remember being in that cinema as soon as he threw that lightsaber over his shoulder. I was like,
what? The problem you have, though, especially with legacy movies and all that, is that when those movies have ended, they've ended on a high. Everybody's been
eventually,
happy.
But yes, because
they don't know that anything's coming, do they?
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. At the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he's walking
son and married.
He's working out of the cinema, the church. He's happy. His hat rolls on the floor. His son picks it up. I'll fight on that fucking hill until my fucking dying breath. I like that film within the Indiana Jones franchise.
Yeah.
The fact that they turned around and went, we need to make another one. And they weren't bringing Shia LaBeouf back. I don't know what say this,
but come closer to me. You're disappearing.
Sorry, yeah.
I think the camera's been.
You're just looking.
They're not bringing Shia LaBeouf back, and so they've got to have reasons, and they can't be like it can't be like, oh well, Shia LaBeouf's not back, and they're happy about it. They've got to keep it within the time zone, and they've got to mess around with the Vietnam War and have him kill off. So it's, you know, You've got to have your characters miserable so that halfway through the movie something big happens and makes them feel better to get back onto the horse.
I mean, I'm just thinking of a recent successful comeback where they were in a good place when it started, and that's Cobra Kai. You know, the story of Danny. Like, after the movies, like when we pick him up in Cobra Kai, he's at a really good place. You know?
Danny is.
But
that's what I mean, though.
Yeah, but then it turns out he was the bad guy.
Yes, exactly. So that's so I was like, so that was actually a good inversion of that for that show, and it works. But yeah, I do think it's like, if you put yourself in a writer's position, it's so much easier to start at a low point to bring them up from. Where if you've already got them at a high point, you've got to bring them down and then bring them back up again. So it's just like, really just skip that and start with the things haven't worked out and bring them back up. So as a narrative point, as a crux, it's easy enough to do. But yeah, there should be more variety in terms of how they do this.
Yeah,
I totally agreed. But in terms of it impacting or affecting the story that much, I don't think so. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. I guess, like, if the characters were left on such a high point, it is, you know, soul destroying to see the character fall in between.
There is also an argument as well, I suppose, to say that, like, at the end of the day, if you take India as the example, if you spent that much time being shot at
You'd be miserable as well.
No, it's PTSD as well. There's
exactly.
trauma's
He's
trauma.
had to drink the blood of Kali.
Yeah, I mean,
He's-
Jesus H. Fuck. You know,
He's seen
like,
things.
Dude,
He's
he
seen
kicked
aliens.
a guy into a propeller.
Yeah.
If you saw that, you'd be like, I am going to be dealing with that for the next 30 years.
He's fought a guy in fucking surrounded by killer ants while an alien fucking skull kept them at bay, you know.
Oh, that's right, he did.
He had Shia LaBeouf for a son.
Hey, Shia LaBeouf's not a bad actor.
Oh, okay.
Fucking better than Kevin Spacey. Next question.
Alrighty. The next question is from Craig Hall.
What
What's
up,
up,
Craig?
Ian, what's your favourite film that you've wikied but never actually watched?
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Okay, well, actually, I was just kidding. But let's see if I can pull an actual question.
Still have not watched that movie.
It's so
I know, and I've got it on DVD, and I still haven't watched it. It's amazing.
All the shit you buy on DVD
I
and you...
know. And I still haven't watched it.
Move on. It's going to bring my blood pressure up again.
What unresolved, prematurely cancelled TV series would you like to see concluded in some fashion? Deadwood and Firefly both got movies to conclude their storylines. Farscape got a two-parter to round theirs off, and Warrior got picked up by another studio to continue their story. So what would you like brought back from the dead, and in what format? Stay shelfy, folks. P.S. No reboots.
Mine's easy. I want season 4 of Hannibal.
I want I want another season of Sliders with the original cast back.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after seeing what's he facing playing Salah in India
Griffin
again.
Jones,
Griffin. Yeah, I don't want to see him back as Professor
John
Jones.
Rhys Davis.
John Rhys
Griffin Jones.
Reaper is a great show. I'm sure we.
I miss Reaper.
Reaper was going to be
Great.
my. I miss Sock so much. Sock
Yeah.
was fucking.
Did he
amazing.
look? What was it? Is it New Amsterdam that he's in? It's like he looks so like grown up now from like Tucker and Dale, and you're like, you're a real person now. I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah.
it.
You mentioned it earlier in Space Above and Beyond
Space
was
Above
one
and Beyond, I
season
love
and
it.
cancelled.
Yeah.
Mindhunter, yeah, like that show. The
Mindhunter's a great
show,
call.
but Fincher's already said like it's they want to do it, but the Netflix just doesn't have the money for what they want to
They
do for
wanna
the next
do.
season. So he's
Yeah.
like, if we
Going
haven't
to
got
fucking
can't do it.
space or something? If
No, he
Netflix
just
doesn't have the money.
Yeah. But it's because like Fincher is that perfectionist. And he's already said like so many shots just cost so much money because
Yeah.
he wants it right.
He wants it
like
right.
and yeah, so he needs massive movie money to get that made. And so it's a real shame because that was really good. But yeah, those are the ones that always come to mind. Of course, we always mention Angel, like because that was
Yeah,
it was cancelled
Angel.
ahead of its time, even though it's concluded or continued in comics and stuff.
I think
but
I'd definitely love to see the end of Reaper. I'd like Reaper.
yeah,
to
it
finish.
actually
Reaper's
concludes,
good.
It
yeah.
ended on such a bit, and then they were like, "We're not making it anymore." I was like, "You cunt, you fucking assholes!"
Yeah.
What was the other one? Pushing Daisies.
I didn't watch it.
I'd like to see that. It
Did that-
ended on an actual cliffhanger.
Really?
Yeah, they were hanging
on a cliff.
from a cliff. It was
Well,
great.
shit.
I'd love to see that one. It was the guy who played
Yeah, but
Ronan the Accuser in Guardians 1.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was him. The pie maker who could bring people back to life for 10 seconds and
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
That was great.
Great question, though. Thank you so much, Craig.
Good question.
Next question is from Josh Delamont.
What up,
What up, Josh?
I have seen The Flash and Indiana Jones and the
You
Dial
want to
of
fucking
Destiny.
touch me?
One was probably watchable, and the other was underwhelming. And I see a pattern of why a few recent superhero films like The Flash, Shazam, and Ant-Man and the Wasp and Black Adam all bombed at the box office. Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny is also bombing. So my question is, fatigue of these films real? If I were to answer my own question, I don't think that something that is a box office bomb is always bad, or that a box office hit is always good. However, I do
Yeah.
think there may be a pattern.
I was going to actually go with that one. Actually, is that funnily enough, when we sit there and we go, "Wow, that's bombed at the box office." Honestly, it doesn't fucking matter. Has it ever really mattered? Like the
When
thing.
they're losing 200 million on a film?
No, they can make that money back easily. Like the Thing bombed at the box office.
Yeah, but they didn't spend that much.
No, I know,
money on
no,
it,
but
did
hear
they?
me
It's
out.
different times, dude.
It bombed at the box office and lost out to E.T. And E.T. obviously was the one that everybody said was the absolute blockbuster. And yet, as the years have gone on, people would rather see a sequel to The Thing than a sequel to E.T. They would rather make games
Blame
of
that on
the
the
thing
Atari game.
than games of E.T. And yet E.T.'s the bigger money maker. Now, all these movies that we're seeing in the moment, and the superhero movies are a great example, is that people go, oh, these movies are bombing in the box office, and yet they've already taken your money. You've paid. If you purposely did not go to the cinema to watch these movies, they didn't notice your money not being there. They've made the money. They've already moved on.
I think they have.
I think they have noticed. Yeah, that's what it's.
They've already moved on to the next project. Like you look at
Well, I mean,
you look at
it's
Flash.
always ongoing.
The Flash,
It's always
the
ongoing.
Flash, they wanted to make a lot of money with, right? And we were warning them. Nobody fucking cares about this character. Oh, but we're still just going to keep putting money into it. But nobody cares about, like what Andy said. Nobody cares about the emotional drama that you're bringing to this character because you haven't built it up enough. Oh, but we're still putting more money in it. Oh, we're not going to make so much money in the cinema. Okay, but it'll come out on DVD, and people will buy it on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K release. It will look better on your home TV than it did on the big, massive, huge screen. And yet you've just paid out.
Sometimes that
3 or
helps
4
a
times
movie.
more
The
for a
money
movie that bombed.
post box office sometimes is enough to help a movie, but look in the case of like Dread, you know, like bombed at the box office.
Bombed at the box office.
It made more money on
Huge,
DVD
Yes,
and,
but
and
that
all of
movie-
that.
that
But it
movie
wasn't
was-
enough to get
the
another one.
the other thing though is
was
obviously
poorly
it only released in
advertised.
X amount of cinemas.
Yeah, that movie
The
was-
3D gimmick as
Yeah.
well.
That movie was poorly advertised and only released in a certain few movies because they didn't think it was going to do well. And yet, again, cult following, everyone was like, "This is the greatest fucking movie ever." We
not
want
until
more.
not until after it would already left the cinemas. That was the
I
thing.
will say
Yeah.
though, to answer the question is like, in a way, I absolutely believe the fatigue is real. I do believe the superhero fatigue. Like I'm a superhero. I'm a comic book fan, so
Yeah.
so I'm like, no, give me all of them.
I'm still
I don't
waiting
give
for
a
the
fuck,
next
I want all of
Boys. I'm
them,
waiting
yeah.
for the final Umbrella Academy.
However, the one thing that they never ever talk about, that they never take into consideration, that like the entertainment industry seems to think doesn't affect them is, bitches, there's a cost of living crisis across the world. It's like, you know, like I said, I think it was off camera. We were talking about I just booked tickets for Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to see it in IMAX, so it's me and a buddy. I always book the tickets for me and him. But I noticed that I was like, shit, I'm paying double the amount of price. Instead of paying £12.50 to go to the cinema, I'm paying £25. Now, like, okay, it's fine, I can afford it and whatever, but for other people might not be able to. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like there is a huge cost of living
And you're going to
crisis in
spend
the
that
UK.
same amount of money on the DVD when it comes out for Oppenheimer.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that sort of like I don't think that when it comes to like, oh, why are these movies bombing in the box office? And it's like, I'll quote fucking like Friday and be like, "I broke these days, motherfucker." You know, like people are broke. So
we'd rather wait for it to come out and be free.
yeah, absolutely. You know, there's I mean, so many people are savvy now to sort of like do. I mean, look. Okay, so I paid to go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3 when it came out in the cinema. Loved it, went and saw it. Now, it was available for me to watch at home in HD by streaming it, not through a legitimate site.
Yeah.
I fucking watched it, you know, because I've already paid for it. I watched it, and I've already paid for it through my Disney Plus subscription, which I'll watch over and over at nauseum. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
However, there's a lot of people that are like quite happy to go like, oh, it's out now, I'll watch it in a month, mate, when it's available through some torrent or a stream or anything like that. So that still does exist, but a lot of the inspiration behind that is just because it's like, I can't fucking afford it.
Piracy's
You know
real.
what I mean?
Piracy's real. It's been around for fucking thousands of years, and so when you put a film out, like, don't care. Like we're talking about the actors' strike and of these people making.
No, but
money
I think that
and
the
paying
inspiration for piracy, the reason for it is more sort of like, look, I'll fucking wait because I can't afford to go to the cinema.
But that's what. But that's what I'm saying is that like, even before the internet came out, I was looking at films and going, oh, I'd rather get a copy because I can't afford. I watched Jurassic Park on a shitty VHS camera handheld because I couldn't go to the cinema. One of the biggest, greatest fucking movies of 1993, filled with dinosaurs, I couldn't afford to go and see because my family didn't have the money. I watched it on a shitty shitty handheld camera and still went, oh my god, I need to watch that. And then it came out on VHS, and then multiple sequels, then it gets all this other franchise. You pick and choose, and like I said, that's what I'm saying, going back, is sometimes when people go, oh, it's bombed at the box office, does that even matter anymore? You're still good.
Well,
you're still going to watch it at some
that's
point.
what the industry's trying to figure out right now, because they almost
They're
thought
gonna
that the cinema was dead after the pandemic.
you
know, and then
did.
Top Gun comes along and goes, No, it ain't.
They but they
And now all these other films have followed.
They thought,
gone, no.
They thought Hollywood was going to collapse back in 1920s after the Great Depression, all that kind of shit, and the crappy movies that come out. You know, and all of a sudden we get independent filmmakers coming out with all these different ideas and stories of being converted, adaptations, and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
nowadays we've got streaming services. Now I know that's becoming a big thing about should the film be released on DVD or should it be released in stream service? Should you get both of them and things like that?
Options. Give people options and choices.
But the problem you do that, the problem when you give them options and choices, they will make their own decision. And like we said,
yeah, that's
like we
describing
said,
options and choices.
yeah, but like what we said, we are fully big supporters of the cinema.
Yeah.
But all three of us are just as bad as everybody else to go, you know what? I'm just gonna get it free.
No, if it's a film, if it's
if it's a film you want to see,
then
yes,
I'll
you'll go to
yeah.
cinema.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's not true.
But
We went to see Halloween Ends.
Yeah, I didn't want.
But if it's
We both went to that fight. We just fucking sat
It's
in
like
the
I
car.
signed a contract.
But
We sat in the car and
but
swore
if
like
it's a
fuck
film-
before we went to see that, didn't we?
But if it's a film you're just
oh, this is
looking,
gonna suck.
but if it's a film you're just looking to fill an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, then I'll watch it home. Yeah, but I love the cinema. I love the cinema
No,
going
I- yeah,
experience.
And you got to remember,
So-
you know, when you say about
Well,
like,
there's
you know,
different times now,
about
isn't
paying
it?
for it, like
It's changing.
if you're streaming and you've paid for you've already paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, but
paid for it 3 times through the nose. so how much money do you want?
Fatigue is real, but I think that there's so many factors.
yeah, there's so
that-
many factors.
that
It's you could
Yeah.
literally have surveys and charts and anagrams and questions, and I don't think you'll get a definitive answer on it because we are in a ridiculous living crisis around the world. Like, people don't have the money. Like, there's that 1% is just hoovering up all that money, which is why we got strikes in this industry and all the other stuff that's going on. And yeah, I do think that the films are coming out. There's a lack of interest in them. Like, like nobody wanted another indie movie after Crystal Skull. Like, we loved our trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, you've beat this dead horse like twice now, and yeah, you may have got, there's some moments in there that are really, really good. But, like, yeah, it's not enough to go 2.5 hours. Like, 3 hours are going to be sat there with the credits and the trailers and everything else. And so, yeah, it's definitely a mixture of everything that's going on between cost of living and some mediocre movies. But I think we'll probably see a change. I think Barbie, like, the summer holidays are coming up. Parents are going to be taking their kids to the cinemas more for days out. So I think
Cinemas will always
timing
be
of the
there.
releases and everything else. And
It's the quality of product that they'll put out there. That's where we've got to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I said, look at the moment. We've got Barbie and fucking Oppenheimer as our biggest fucking movies at the moment.
Okay, well, our next question is from Mr. Will Guitar.
What up, Mr. Will?
Well,
Is there any actor who has stuck in your mind as their character, so that no matter what movie you see them in and no matter how well they act, you still see them as the other role? For Mr. Will Guitar, it was Chief Brody. Will always be Chief Brody, even in All That Jazz or Marathon Man or Sorcerer or that one time at Bandcamp Girl. Whether she be in Buffy or that How I Met Your Mother thingy.
Yeah.
Fonz will always be the Fonz, etc. You got any?
Bruce Campbell's always Ash.
Pretty much.
Always
yeah.
Ash.
do you know what's an interesting one?
Except when he's
Because-
Elvis.
He's always Elvis, yeah.
Do you know what's an interesting one? That's because it's been commented on recently. Is to me, it's hard for me to not see Tony Stark in Robert Downey Jr.
Sure.
And he recently, because he's in Oppenheimer, and
Yeah.
he recently did an interview where he said
I may have
he
forgotten.
loved doing Oppenheimer because he was like, I think I fucked myself up. As
Forgot
an
how
actor.
to act.
I forgot how to act because I just became Tony Stark for so long. which is
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
But
yeah.
That's definitely like every time I look at him, it's just that's Tony Stark.
Yeah, but that's because it's so good. When you're so good in that role,
so
Yeah.
built for it.
to break free from it. Like, I just see Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and everything now. Like, it's just Ryan Reynolds is
Yeah.
Deadpool. Like, pre-Burns.
Except in Wolverine Origins, which is ironic.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
That is the
least
least Deadpool you
least
fucking
Deadpool.
were.
It's the
Well,
least Ryan Reynolds of
That's
all of his
Ryan
movies.
Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins is always Hannibal. Yeah, agreed.
Arnold
Agreed.
Schwarzenegger is always the fucking Terminator, even in Junior.
Even in Kindergarten Cop.
Even in Kindergarten Cop.
I'll be pregnant.
Put the cookie down! Great question, though, yeah. I was trying to think if there's any others.
I think Fonz is a good. Like, he's given
Fonz
us
is
Fonz
absolutely
Man,
the
that
Fonz.
is the most
Fucking-
iconic fucking shit, isn't it? Like,
Fucking
Henry Winkler is the
Danny
Fonz.
Glover.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
He's just Murtaugh.
He's just
Getting
always too old
older
for
and
that
older.
shit.
He's always too old for that shit. It's always this before he
Yeah.
shoots. Like, he's got to do a fucking neck
I mean,
click.
Predator 2 is basically what he was doing before Riggs turned up.
Right.
No, I feel like that's after Riggs has killed himself.
Oh god, that's
in
the
the dark
alternate
universe.
universe.
Yeah, and like I've seen some shit. Kid.
I've seen some
Like,
shit.
Absolutely.
Oh, fucking Bill Paxton. It's really hard not to see him as Hudson.
It's true, but yeah.
I got a little dick. It's pathetic. I love that line.
So glad.
Great question, Neil. Thank you. Great. That was all the questions, though, from Facebook. So I wanna say
Facebook.
huge thank you
Thank
to you guys.
everybody. Yes.
Let's move on over to...
Want to know how old we are? We still get questions from Facebook.
Right. We old. Alrighty, next question is from Mungo.
What up,
What up,
Mungo?
dude?
Hey, Gary, Ian, and Andy. What is the most underrated and overrated moment in film history? P.S. This is going to be the 3rd year anniversary of me subscribing to your Twitch channel. Keep up with the great work you do, and for the next 3 years. Thank you so much,
Did you
Mitch.
say
Mungo.
underrated and overrated?
Moment.
Underrated moment in cinema for me is Kurt Russell shouting, "Fuck you too," at the top of his voice while throwing a piece of stick of dynamite that should have just been iconic throughout the whole entire 80s. And the most overrated segment is that Aquaman fucking movie. Off the top of my head, there you go.
When he steps out in the orange suit.
Fucking fuck you, man!
Bullshit!
Bullshit!
I'm going to say one of the most underrated is... oh, no, actually. I'm trying to think. You fucking threw me off with that.
Most underrated and
Because it's not... I was about to say something like, oh, this is great, but it's not underrated, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's generally accepted. Like, it's hard to think of something that's like not...
Yeah, because I just want to go to like my favourite movie scene and the worst movie scene. But
Yeah, you got
I
to
think
scene,
it's over and
it's
underrated.
moment.
Yeah.
But it's easy to go when you go like sort of under. It's great. It's easy to just say a great scene, but it's like it's not
Yeah.
actually underrated.
So
It's quite
I'll
difficult.
go with the one that I think is overrated. It's what I've mentioned a couple of times before is Russell Crowe's Gladiator speech. Just like for me, it doesn't move me at all.
Really?
Like I just know whether
Wow.
it's the oversaturated music, the visual, or his delivery. For me, it just doesn't move me like it moved everybody else.
See,
So that's on me.
That's
But for me, I would then say
fucked up
it's
that I was thinking of the same movie.
Really?
But a different scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when they throw the sword to him,
Yeah.
and he clearly fumbles it. And you know that, like, that's the best shot they could get.
Yeah.
That Ridley Scott, fucking move on. Like, you know, because he doesn't catch that fucking sword.
No.
And people are like, oh, you know, he's like, he comes past on the horse when they're the slaves
Yeah.
taking on the guys, and then someone throws him a sword. You watch that, I don't care how many times, in what speed or detail you watch that movie, he doesn't catch the sword. It goes fucking nuts.
And then it cuts to him in his hand.
Yeah.
So I guess for my most
I'm sorry, I'll also
underrated-
throw in The Charge from Braveheart, where Mel Gibson changes weapons 9 times in the same
the
charge.
kilt changes. It's like-
Yeah, it's like, what in the fuck is he doing?
But the first thing that's come to my mind for most underrated moment in film, I'm going to go with Alien Resurrection, when Sigourney Weaver behind her throws the basketball
Oh, it's
and
great.
goes in the hoop.
Goes in the hoop.
Nice. Good question.
Just short term here.
Kurt Russell doing the basketball shot in Escape from LA.
Yeah.
With a fever,
But-
no
yeah.
doubt. The film New Jackson.
Cheers for the question, though, Mitch. Next question is from Daydreamin' Davey.
What up, Davey?
What up?
Which 2 Brad Pitt movies do you think would make a good crossover film?
7 and Fight Club, where he's
Tyler
the cop
Durden is
and
the-
he's talking to Tyler Durden, but Tyler Durden's not real.
But also, he's just a head in a box.
Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, he plays the baby.
There's a baby in that movie?
No, that's the point. Him and Angelina Jolie have a baby, and it turns
Oh
out
shit!
that
Oh
it's
okay. Or
Benjamin
we're just
Button.
shoehorning it in. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Moneyball crossed with Interview with a Vampire, where the basketball baseball coach
We're all
is a
vampires.
vampire.
Right. Well, I think he's answered that.
Yeah, that's the best answer, right?
7
I
years
got
in
nothing.
Tibet and 12 years a slave.
Slave.
So you've got what?
19 years a slave in Tibet. His brother did the pit.
Oh, good, you guys. Good.
Yeah, you done it. I'm like Thelma and Louise and Fight Club. Like they turn up at the house. Like, no, you've given the best crossovers, Ian.
Well, he's in the bedroom talking to her. She's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "We don't talk about it." He just drops her.
Get out of here, Gina. Just for the question,
Spot on
Davey.
as always, Matt. Well done.
Oh dear. Oh,
No, what have you done?
I'm trying to remove the question. There we go.
There you go.
Next question is from Code Dude.
What up, Code Dude?
We're up.
Do you think The Movie Critic will really be Quentin Tarantino's last movie as director? What do you think he'll do next?
Yes.
I mean,
feet.
he's
Look
pretty
at
damn
feet.
adamant, and
I saw his interview on the Your Mama's House podcast, and he was so like, this is it. This is the plan.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
what,
mean,
what he'll do next? I mean,
he said he wants to
whatever the
write. He
fuck
said he wants to write.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
just gonna do the most random. You are gonna
Yeah,
get episodes of fucking Star Trek.
yeah,
Written by Quentin Tarantino,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
what he
gonna
wants
be
to do.
excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, he wants to write movies for people. Right?
Yeah.
He said he wants to write a novel.
Actually, that would be really funny if, like, he goes to write and it turns out it's shit. They're like, actually, no, go back to directing.
We'll
And they're
go
like-
back to directing
and then
because
in the
you're
car,
writing.
Because
he
when-
shoots the dude in the
Yeah,
back
the
in
thing
the
is,
face,
when you read it,
and
when
they
you
have
read
to
it, you
clean
go,
the car.
actually, this doesn't work. But when he transfers it to the camera, that's when it
I know
works.
there was a film that he wrote. I'm trying to remember what it was called because they had Brad Pitt in it, the stoner one.
True Romance.
True Romance,
True
yeah, because
Romance,
like
yeah,
that was him writing before directing.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like
but
we
it-
know that his work can be adapted without
Yeah,
him.
yeah. True
but,
Romance.
Yeah, he
is
worked with like
fucking
Rodriguez and
Yeah.
did like
Yeah.
like just writing.
outstanding.
yeah,
The
didn't he?
Four
Yeah.
Rooms he was in. Four Rooms with Rodriguez.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Their earliest
Tim Roth
collaboration.
was the fucking bellboy.
Mhm.
That was fucking great.
That was great.
Like
Yeah.
he's just gonna do. Oh, that's why I'm so fucking sorry to go on a tangent, but that's why I'm so happy once again to have enjoyed Quentin Tarantino's career over my life. Like I said, when I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then when I had COVID, and I did all 9 of his movies, including True Romance, and just watched them back to back and back. You just watched the quality get better and better and better as the movies went on. But the fact that, like, Reservoir Dogs is just as fucking good as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
For different reasons.
For
and yeah.
totally different reasons, but the camera work and the acting and the grittiness and the rawness of Reservoir Dogs, yeah, it's not there in Once Upon a Time, but there's some aspects in Once Upon a Time, like when he's bombing through the streets in his car and stuff like. You're like, yeah, you can see.
You can see how much he's
camera
honed his
work.
craft,
Oh, yeah,
and
so
also
good.
having the financial backing to fully realize what he wants to do.
When he
Dude,
gets
honestly,
blown
like,
up in Django
He's one of
Unchained.
two
oh.
directors where if I was writing a movie and I wanted to consult on something, I'd be like, help me out with the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Him
Yes.
and James Gunn.
Yeah, yes,
The two
they
where
are.
I'd be like,
because they
God,
write
imagine
to
such
music.
a fucking
Imagine
ear.
sitting with those two guys drinking and listening to music.
Oh,
You'd be
you'd
like, oh
hear
my
so
God.
like, what the fuck is
That's
this
the
from
round table
Mars?
you want, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I want. Yeah.
Cheers for the question, Code Dude. Next question is from Film for Thought,
What
What's
up,
up?
film?
and is actually our last question.
Okay.
Hey guys, my movie reviews keep getting taken down by YouTube for copyright, even though I seem to
Yeah.
be following the guidelines and rules for what I'm allowed to show.
Oh, this is about to hit hard.
And for how long. My last take is a claimed segment for 30 seconds, which is just my commentary over a muted clip of a movie, something that you guys do and countless other reviewers. You guys have any advice or tips for making reviews and especially getting past the copyright system and its bullshit claims?
It's a minefield, right?
I mean, I literally... Excuse me, I got hair on my tongue. It's probably fucking Google, YouTube, fucking copyright system
Yeah.
trying to claw its way out.
Yeah. Taking his soul.
It is. I am tainted by copyright claims. I have lost sleep. I
Yeah.
have stressed.
Yeah.
I have literally put myself on on copyright school by learning the law and learning the finer prints about what fair use is, what it means, and how loosely interpreted it has been. I've been following the American court systems as they've tried to, as the government has tried to gain ownership of the internet, have tried to enforce their rules on getting rid of GIFs and memes. Like the movie industry was like, no, we want all that, that's ours, like you can't meme, and all of that stuff. It's been a wild ride, but in terms of being a YouTuber at the moment, you need to know what you can and can't do, because there are, like we push the envelope.
We do.
All film reviewers on YouTube are pushing that envelope, really. And that is so long as the laws stay as they are. governments and industries, the movie industries, are constantly fighting to take control of that. But so my advice would be, now this was something that you guys are probably aware of a YouTuber called Decker Shadow.
Yeah.
I messaged him early on in our YouTube career, like, because we were getting videos taken down. I've told the story many times about our Alien review had got edited, re-edited, and uploaded 131 times before I snapped. Before I literally was like, I am going to stop making YouTube videos because I cannot keep doing this. And there's got to be another way, because other YouTubers, like you've just asked us, other YouTubers seem to be doing it and getting away with it, like not a problem. I don't know if you guys know, like Red Letter Media, like they just this year went past their 1 million subscriber mark, and they are tweeting no end. They are getting hit with community guideline strikes, copyright takedown notices, and so on. There's actually 4 more questions in the queue. Okay, maybe I just needed to refresh. I'll just finish this tangent here. But yeah,
let's fucking get off this rant.
Yeah, let's get off this rant. So it's all automated now. It's literally an AI system. That film industries have literally given Google a scan of their entire libraries, so that the automated system literally scans your upload within a nanosecond and just will pick one segment of it that you'll then edit and re-upload or highlight or mute or whatever, and then it gets scanned again, and then it picks another part and another part and another part, and so it's an endless battle until you fight the broken system. Now the system is in place on YouTube to prevent people uploading movies wholesale. So that you can't just watch the entire movie. If by chance you do happen to watch a whole movie on YouTube, it's because that movie has not been scanned in by the studio, because either they don't own it anymore, like the entire back catalogue of like Canon films and stuff like that.
Like that Brad Pitt movie I watched on fucking YouTube.
Like the nobody owns it anymore. It's kind of like almost public domain. So that ends up being fine.
Right.
Not a film.
But this is the thing. Like, we've been dealing with it for 10 years. When we first started off, we were just like everybody else, that we get the questions all the time. Like I got it in work a couple of weeks ago. Oh, Iain, I've seen you put film reviews up on that. How does that work? What systems do you have to go through? And I told them straight, you have to jump through flaming hoops. You have to learn what you can and can't do. You can't just go onto YouTube and do whatever you want and expect to obviously try to make some money from it because you've got this great idea. You've got to work within their guidelines and work with them. And then as you do that and you start to get maybe a little bit more successful, you bring more attention to yourself. So then YouTube is watching you even more stringently. Like, we've got so many film reviews. We've lost so many in the past, but we've managed to keep going with the ones that we're doing, but we've got to stay within that. So whenever I'm there and I'm editing it, it's always in my mind, right, keep the camera on us for a little bit, give me a gap, then cut to footage. But I never cut to footage to fucking show off the film. I cut the footage to emphasize what we're discussing. You know, and so that's what works for us. Gary and I are having a discussion about a certain sequence. We give you a little snippet of that sequence. It's then down to you to go off and watch the film. You're not coming to watch the review to just watch the film.
But to get our discussion and flavour.
We're not going to do that. So, if you want to watch the film for free, you have to go and find it yourself.
So in order to stay within the guidelines that we have as fair use. Now, when you see, like, in the review where there might be 3 minutes block of footage before it cuts back to you or me. And you'll probably notice, like, what we tend to do, if there's like a minute sequence that we want to show, take the first 9 seconds. Then the next 9 seconds we don't show, but then the next 9 seconds we glue together. So it's basically an abridged version of that scene. So even though there's lots of footage, it's cut or played backwards or out of sequence.
We always laugh because only Gary and I will look at a sequence and go,
that's not how
we
it
can
plays
see
in the
where
film.
we cut. We can see where we made that cut.
Or we'll shorten sequences, like if there's a dialogue scene between 2 characters, there's a big pause between the response. we cut out that
cut
pause,
that out,
so
yeah.
it just plays straight. So that's the little editing tricks there. But the general rule for us is no more than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Even if you do, the automated system's going to get you anyway.
Music's
So,
the worst. Music's the worst one.
The next thing that I mainly have to say with in terms of getting those claims coming in, don't re-edit, don't mute. If you feel like you have transformed it by adding commentary to it, making a review for it, transforming it is the words that they're looking for. Fight it, fight the system. And like I was at first, I was overwhelmed and made to feel very scared by all of the technical legal jargon that YouTube throws at you when you go to make the claim, telling you like, are you sure? We will take you to court and we will sue you for all of these reasons if you think, if you've actually filed a false claim or report here. So, I now have a system of responses for all of the questions that I need to for filing an anti-copyright claim. YouTube or Google this year changed their system so that you can force the appeal now, so that happens within 7 days instead of 30 days. And that 30 days often dragged into 3 months because they leave it to the 30 days, then it automated gets rejected, then you have to appeal again. Up until the third time, where a human person has to accept or either give you back the ownership of the video or take you to court. I have filed those suits with Universal, Sony, Paramount, all of the Hollywood studio systems. I've told them all to take me to court, all of them. I haven't been taken to court yet. So long as you know what you're saying in those responses, and if you really struggle there, anyone listening to this podcast, come and join the Discord, send me a message, and I will send you exactly what I post in those comments to help you guys out, because it is a nightmare. It's stressful. I've been through it all, so I will literally give you my cheat sheet pretty much for that system, because it's so painful. I would rather no one else trying to get started on YouTube. Like, there's a million other issues you have to deal with being on YouTube, that shouldn't be holding you back.
But
so I hope that answers your question.
That's how times change over time, because obviously when we first started, it was like 30-minute videos. That's all you could upload.
So it was 10 minutes. When we started.
Now it's all changed now.
Sorry for everyone else that had to listen to it.
No, that was great. I loved that one. I saw it pop up and I thought that's going to be a big one. That one.
Yeah. Also, don't know if you guys saw in the news, one of those fraudulent false copyright claim motherfuckers got arrested and sentenced to fucking 25 years in jail for being an absolute prick and false claiming tons of YouTube videos.
Wow.
So if you're one of those cunts out there, your time's up.
He used the C word. He used the C word. That was worse than my Aquaman. Man.
Alrighty, so I was wrong. We do actually have a couple more questions.
Okay.
This next one is from Richie.
Richie.
Hi guys, long time no see. I hope you had a good Father's Day last month.
Yeah.
My question is, what director and actress that hasn't worked together before would you like to see work together? Maybe Sam Raimi and Kurt motherfucking Russell.
That would be sick.
That would be one hell of a...
Brad Pitt, Bruce Campbell, Kurt Russell, and John Carpenter, with Sam Raimi producing.
Oh, damn, that is the holy of the holies.
Yeah. and Bruce Campbell and Brad Pitt both play monster hunters. Brad Pitt's like the Whistler guy who makes all the weapons and stuff. And Bruce Campbell's actually the guy.
Because I want to see this movie.
But Bruce Campbell's getting on a little bit, and so he's wanting to actually step down. So they're looking for the newest person to join their crew. To get him. Maybe Florence Pugh. No, do I like Florence Pugh? I don't know.
I do.
Maybe Brie Larson. I like Brie Larson.
The internet doesn't.
I'd like to see for like a comedy, like I'd love to see like Bert Kreischer and that group of comedians work with someone like Kevin Smith or someone like that. That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
Again, the internet probably wouldn't. But I fucking would, so I don't care.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I'm struggling to think of an answer on the spot. I'm just trying to think. Like
you're going to say a combination, and someone's going to be like, they have worked together.
Yeah, but that's what I'm thinking.
I didn't see that movie.
I'm like, because I love David Fincher movies. I'm like, who would I like to see
David
him?
Fincher was the director I was thinking of straight away.
Yeah.
Who would I like to see sort of
Because
go in there
he
and
takes actors and
I'd like him to take someone sort of like, you know, fairly young to do something like maybe someone like Taron Egerton or you know Tom Holland maybe, and put them into like something that's
something to break their
Tom
mold.
Holland plays the character that Bruce Campbell and Brad Pitt are training up.
Because I was going to say, someone like Tarantino, who's revived so many careers, you know, through his movies, have just put them back in the limelight again.
Kevin Spacey.
Why'd you say that name?
As in, like,
why'd you say that name?
Can Tarantino even revive that career?
Man, have you haven't been watching Secret Invasion, have you?
No, I haven't either.
You haven't been watching Secret?
2 or 3 episodes. 2 episodes.
Oh man, there was a line that got dropped. Somebody dropped in the Discord for how they found out somebody was a Super Skrull, and it was.
Okay, but don't tell me because I've only watched 2 episodes. But there you go.
Hurry the fuck up and watch it.
When he got home, I wanted him to yell, "Where's my super suit?"
Where's my super suit?
Jeeves 79 with the Warhammer 40k, directed by Fincher and Carpenter. Yeah,
with Henry Cavill playing all
Blomkamp,
18 Primarchs.
Easily. What the fuck? Yeah.
Henry Cavill playing all 18 Primarchs.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what? I think for Warhammer, I think Neil Blomkamp would have more energy. Fincher would be more. Yeah. Would probably get a story. We would get a different type of story in that universe that wouldn't quite be 40k. Kind of like Andor is to not Star Wars.
I'd hate to get a birthday card from David Fincher. I bet it was dark as fuck. It's just a black card. You open it up. It just
one more year closer to death.
1 more year closer to death. Here, we bought you a coffin for your birthday. Just
7 days, motherfucker.
Yeah, that was a great question. Thank you so much, Richie. We got a question here from Waffles Hannibal.
What up, Waffles? What up?
How long is the backlog for coming movie reviews?
Long.
There was a bit of a hiccup.
Gary's hiccup.
During the, I have apologized profusely to the Patreon members during the pandemic. There was a moment where Iain was unable to record, and I was recording with Jess, and we postponed the Patreon list. And of course, during that sort of 6 months or so, that backlog grew quite a bit. But obviously, our Patreon has the support on there has remained mostly the same. It has dipped a little bit, but there are quite a few of you on there that are really helping us out, keeping the show going, keeping the lights on, and keeping us fed and motivated to keep going.
Yes.
I did get a couple of messages from a few Patreons going, guys, I requested this like over a year ago. I'm just curious, like, no pressure, just curious, where is it? And I'm like, shit, like, man, your film's not even on the fucking list. Like, I've messed up. I've like, either the list didn't get updated, or it didn't save when I closed it, or like I just missed it somehow. So I've apologized to those patrons and said they are like jumped, you know, to the top of the list, and we're doing them right now. And of course, it still takes time to go through the copyright claims and wait for the appeals and so on. Like, we still have to deal with that. But the list right now of Patreon requests is about 6 to 8 weeks long. Iain and I already prepared. I got our dates set to start our Halloween recording series. So, like, literally, as it stands right now, we'll finish recording Patreon stuff by October. But by then, we do anticipate more requests coming in on there. So, if you were thinking about signing up to become a Patreon, I don't plug it that often, but if you were thinking about it because you want to get your film request on there, I can safely say you won't be waiting a year or more like some Patreons have had to. But I can also safely say, once again, that every Patreon that has signed up and donated some money and made a film request, that film request has been honoured. And we will continue to live by that.
And I want to say that as well. I want to say a big shout out to everybody who's obviously sent in film requests and things like that for us to review, because it's been absolutely fucking amazing. Sometimes, you know, this is what feeds my Wikipedia addiction. Is that, like, Gary will go,
this is your fault.
This is your fault. Gary will go, this is what's going on the list next week, and we have no idea what the fuck it is. You know, at least, like, you look
not all the time, but
but you look at the last 4 or 5 weeks of movies that we put out. Martin Sheen in The Believers We did not think anybody would even be interested in hearing us talk about that, and yet the numbers for that jumped up. Fucking Albert Finney in Wolfen, you know, it was just fucking brilliant to watch. Like the one with Elijah Wood, you know, just so many films are going on the list that we're like, what the fuck is that? And then we look at it, and then we watch it, and we enjoy it, and we're like, why are not more people talking about that movie? It's so good. You know, but it gives us a chance, and then we're doing it the next week, and the next week, and then we got fucking Halloween coming up, and Christmas coming up, and it don't end! It don't end!
It's July, dude. Calm down.
Sorry, man, sorry. I was
wishing the week.
Aquaman's going to end up on the fucking list, dude.
It is now. Cheers to the question, Waffles. Alrighty, I think once again we have reached the last question. I'll have to double check. I'm never sure now. I'm never going to be sure. I should probably just stop saying it's the last question. This question is from Rio Quinn.
What up, Rio Quinn?
What up, Dave?
With the phenomenal Bear, Better Call Saul, and Barry all riding high on the Emmy nominations, which shows are you hoping gets awards? Better Call Saul. Like, that final season was absolutely phenomenal. Like, it deserves all the accolades and awards in TV. One of the best shows of the last decade. Phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. Miss it. It's left a gap in my viewing that nothing has quite replaced.
I need to watch The Bear, actually, because they've just started season 2, I believe.
I just watched episode 1 of season 1 this afternoon.
I just started, or we're about 3 or 4, because they're only short episodes.
Half
started
hour.
watching The Patient. Started watching that.
Don't know that one.
Steve Carell.
Okay.
On Disney Plus. That's been really good so far. I would definitely say Last of Us should probably be in the running for something.
Last of Us, definitely. The set design of that and the makeup work was great.
Since we're going back, obviously, like that, we're better. I'm gonna say Peacemaker because it was my favourite thing of last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Jesus, that should fucking win something for sure. What about you?
Man, I don't watch fucking TV. I wiki my shit.
Alright, so what would you
Ian's
give
watching-
a fucking Wiki Award to then? Like, Jesus Christ.
No,
Seagate?
No, Seagate.
That's Seagate.
I know what you meant.
Squares,
Yeah, it's getting late.
No, that's the thing. Like, there are so many good TV shows. I think they all deserve awards at the end of the day. And I think it's a shame that none of them are, you know, kept up. Like, you know, what makes Better Call Saul bigger than Peacemaker? What is it that pushes it forward that Peacemaker
Well, it's got the
misses out on
legacy
the
of
awards
Breaking
and
Bad.
things like that?
Yeah.
And like you said, Barry, you know, I didn't watch Barry. I've seen a few clips, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. But there's just so much nowadays. I like TV. I just don't think everything. I think everything should be praised for what it is, and that some of the awards are they're just there just to
Yeah.
stick on the mantle.
I guess like after the most recent outing so far, like Picard season 3 was just amazing for a Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
And Strange New Worlds is doing really well. Obviously, Star Trek Prodigy's just been cancelled, but I've not watched that one. It's the animated. It's sort of aimed at kids, but
Yeah.
you know, Star Trek fans are eating it up because of the lore and mythology and finding out stuff about Voyager and what. So I'm really happy that Star Trek's been doing really well lately because you know, Discovery and Kelvin timeline
for a
stuff
while.
was just like, God, like Trek is in a bad place, and not the worst place, but a bad place.
Andor should get a
Why don't
fucking
they-
Yeah, Andor's
because
well, yeah.
Andor was
Why
pretty
don't Raw and
good. Star
SmackDown
Wars for
win
grown-ups.
awards? They're great TV shows.
They do all the time.
Do they? What one?
They don't win like fucking Emmys and
They
stuff.
should win. I mean,
Something
some
like
of the writing on there.
But the actors
they-
might go on to. And
I mean,
no, but they do. No, but there are. Because there's so many like awards for like network awards and stuff like that. They have absolutely.
but they
won
never.
Yeah.
They should have won an Emmy when
You fucking hear about it every time Michael calls like hashtag won this award.
They should have won an
I know,
Emmy when they fucking threw the Intercontinental
Bloodline story.
the Intercontinental title belt into the river, and then The Rock knocked Austin off the bridge.
I mean, obviously.
You know, we thought he was dead for a week.
I mean, we did because we think it's real.
We thought it was real. It was fucking real.
awesome.
Dear Trailer Park Trash.
Field rant is coming.
Oh no. Well, I'm going to quickly wrap things up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the question there, Rio Quinn. Really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for your
Yes,
questions.
thank you,
Awesome
thank
questions
you.
this month. Really do appreciate that. And thank you everyone for tuning in to podcast 57. We'll be back next month. New podcast, new theme. Thank you so much, Ian. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Andy. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the live stream for the podcast.
Thanks, chat. You rule.
Hell yeah. We'll see
Hell
you on the
yeah.
next one.